Warrior Lore. Chapter 35-23. Impossible? Beigo Zhenming smiled lightly, and then he pointed with his finger and said, based on Xiao Hua's current situation, even if the 5 scrolls were unable to take his life, they've blasted him to the point he's completely exhausted. If fellow immortal has the heart, then you can descend and kill him right now. This great contribution will be yours, fellow immortal. Shi Buohong's heart skipped a beat, but his body was as steady as a boulder. He didn't even move. Xiao Hua's body looked very weak at this moment, but on his cracked face, the unyielding fighting spirit seemed to be real. It made everyone not dare to look at him directly. Among the 5 people, no one dared to challenge him. No, this Xiao Hua's a bit strange. Jiang Yuming frowned, his eyes flashing with deep doubt. Xiao Hua's injuries are so serious. Why is there not a trace of blood on his body? Io, that's right. Shi Buohong also exclaimed. Even if he used a Taoist Dharma idol, this Dharma idol is a physical body, not an illusion. If the Dharma idol is injured, there must be traces of blood. A Taoist secret technique. Bai Hou Yuqin said faintly. This Xiao Hua is baiting us. Don't think too much. Lung Qingge's eyes flickered with uncertainty. He shouted. We still have the 5 brocade cloud painting. Don't think about luck. Hurry up and prepare for the wrath of the emperor. At this point, Lung Qingge glanced at Bai Hou Yuqin and Beigo Zhenming and said faintly, for this final attack, we must work together. Don't slack off. Yes, we understand. Beigo Zhenming and Bai Hou Yuqin's hearts trembled, and they immediately replied with Jiang Yuming and the others. Seeing the 5 people disappear into the clouds, Xiao Hua, who was struggling to fly in the air, felt relieved. He hurriedly endured the indescribable pain all over his body and urged the medicinal power in his body, as well as the Dharma idol technique, to repair his Dharma idol. Even the blood drop paradise in his bloodline was repairing his physical body under the full power of the devil spirit. In Xiao Hua's heart, the dangerous scene from before was still difficult to erase for a long time. Xiao Hua's simultaneous use of several divine abilities had long surpassed the ability of a nascent soul cultivator. However, these divine abilities were different from each other. The sword intent of the 9 flying swords deduced the 9 stars transiting the sun. After all, it couldn't compare to the real swords playing the world. Furthermore, Xiao Hua himself couldn't transform into a sword to forcefully resist the law character swordnet. Several hundred sword silhouettes rushed into the sky and took the lead to collide with the sword net. This collision was the beginning of the entire formation's shaking. In terms of sword intent alone, 9 stars transit was not necessarily inferior to Wanxie's. The hundreds of sword shadows were like lonely plum blossoms standing proudly in the wind and snow. However, the sword net was even more powerful because of the bombardment of the noble spirit. This incomparably sharp force was admittedly shattered by the 9 stars transit of the sun, but the sharpness of the 9 stars transit of the sun was also worn down. In the blink of an eye, the shattered sword net rushed past the 9 stars transit of the sun and pierced towards Xiao Hua's golden body. 9 stars transit wasn't the most miserable. Immediately after, it collided with Wanxie's nascent soul was the cauldron operated by Xiao Hua's nascent soul. This cauldron was obtained from Taoist Jingru. Xiao Hua's nascent soul only erased the divine sense imprint within it and used the cauldron to contain the frigid ice flame. He didn't specially temper it. Now that he activated the cauldron, the frigid ice flame in the cauldron's flames was indeed monstrous. However, when it truly rushed onto the earth character Wanxie's nascent soul, it only defeated 30% of the noble spirit. Moreover, the cauldron emitted runes that gushed out like a tide under the control of the green-robed Xiao Hua's nascent soul. These runes flickered with an intense might and forcibly extinguished the remaining 30% of the noble spirit. However, that green-robed Taoist Jingru's nascent soul was far from being able to resist the gravity of that green-robed Taoist Jingru's nascent soul. The remaining power of Wanxie's nascent soul forcibly shattered the cauldron. Even so, a small mouthful of golden blood gushed out from the nascent soul's mouth. However, just as the blood was spat out, the green-robed Xiao Hua immediately abandoned the cauldron and spat it onto the ice sea mirror. The ice sea mirror shone brightly and 3 rays of light vibrated, creating a rumbling sound as they struck the yin-yang fish. The yin-yang fish's light and dark rays suppressed the ice sea mirror's 3 rays of light, but the 3 rays of light also suppressed the yin-yang fish's light and dark rays. Even the ice sea mirror's surface started to crack under the yin-yang fish's pressure. Seeing that the ice sea mirror was not a match for the yin-yang fish, the green-robed Xiaohua hastily pointed his finger at the overturning sea seal that Xiaohua had left in the air as a backup. Under the coiling dragon's control, the seal expanded to several dozen zhang in size and slammed into the boundary between the yin-yang fish. Under the power of the light and dark rays, the seal finally cooperated with the ice sea mirror to kill Wenxie. The most relaxed one was the innate primordial water. Perhaps Baiho's jade zither was a little merciful, or perhaps the noble spirit river was originally restrained by the innate primordial water. When the primordial water soared into the sky, the noble spirit river fell into the primordial water and disappeared. Only the powerful impact mixed with the starlight scattered the primordial water. Of course, Xiaohua himself was not idle. The wishful staff danced, and at the same time the cauldron was shattered by the scroll. It suddenly struck into the air. The earth scroll was completely destroyed by the wishful staff. After that, Xiaohua's calamity came. The law sword light fell from the sky and covered the earth. Xiaohua waved the wishful staff and tried to knock down as many sword lights as possible, but in the sword net, Xiaohua's transcendence golden body was still penetrated by many sword lights. In particular, although the yin-yang fish and the earth scroll were damaged, the suppressive power inside still fell on Xiaohua's transcendence golden body through the void. Xiaohua struggled to rely on the protective golden light and the transcendence golden body to resist. His transcendence golden body was inevitably torn apart, and even his head was cracked open. The reason why Xiaohua could only use his physical body to resist the sword net was that he used all the spiritual power in his body on the red and yellow spiritual fire. Xiaohua's most powerful means now should be the blood devil blade on his left arm. But in front of the true writings of the 5 great scholars, the blood devil blade was of little value. Therefore, the dual-colored spiritual fire became Xiaohua's most useful means now. The Confucian written by the great scholar, Kong Liwen, formed the auspicious cloud of the 5 Qis unification. This 5-colored auspicious cloud connects the 4 scrolls together and also fuses with the 5 brocade cloud painting. This is already the key to solving the 5 suns imperial examinations. If Xiaohua wants to live, he can only focus his energy on this Confucian character. Therefore, Xiaohua used the ancient fire control art to release the spiritual fire, urging all the gold attribute spiritual energy of heaven and earth in his meridians to immediately turn the spiritual fire into a fire net that was dozens of feet in size. That fire net caught the 5-colored auspicious cloud that was slowly descending. This auspicious cloud was very strange. The 5 colors were balanced, and the boundless chi pillar was not as arrogant as the other 4 scrolls. It was abnormally steady, especially the starlight in the auspicious cloud, which was far more vigorous than Xiaohua's imagination. Xiaohua felt that even if he used the wishful staff, it would be impossible to destroy this 5-colored auspicious cloud. The 5-colored auspicious cloud was strange, and the dual-colored spiritual fire was even more mysterious. The spiritual fire just held the auspicious cloud, and the fire and earth colors in the auspicious cloud immediately melted. The other 3 colors also swayed slightly, like a light cloud that was about to disperse. However, the spiritual fire was not completely successful. The auspicious cloud still carried endless power, and it was impossible for it to fall. Obviously, even if Xiaohua's transcendence golden body was already damaged, the auspicious cloud still wanted to suppress it. At this time, Xiaohua could only spit out the 3 heavenly hearts that he had not yet completely controlled. As soon as these 3 heavenly hearts appeared, the 5-colored auspicious cloud instantly collapsed. 3 of the colors were absorbed by the heavenly hearts, and the boundless chi also fell into the heavenly hearts. Seeing that there was a gap, the green-robed Xiaohua next to him actually had the strength to spare. Under the starry sky, a small amount of lightning appeared in the space where the waves of chi rolled, and together with the spiritual fire, it destroyed the calligraphy of the scholarly great scholar. The scholarly calligraphy was destroyed, and the other surviving scrolls also suffered a disaster. While Xiaohua was hit by the law sword net and the boundless qi, he used his last bit of magical power. A green light flashed between his eyebrows, and the green seal text obliterated all the remaining inscriptions, and even the scrolls were destroyed. The valiant Xiaohua, with his valiant battle record, had suppressed the 5 scholarly cultivators. But although he had suppressed them, seeing the 5 scholarly cultivators disappear again, Xiaohua's mind turned sharply, secretly calculating what other powerful methods they had. However, after thinking for a moment, Xiaohua really couldn't think of what other powerful methods these 5 and the many scholarly cultivators behind the 5 brocade cloud painting could have. This Xiao is an arrow at the end of its flight. How much better are you? Xiaohua sneered. Even if this Xiao's nascent soul is now extremely weak and can no longer come out, this Xiao still has the metal essence in his meridians, and this Xiao's physical body still has the strength of 10,000 caddies. Even if I have to exhaust, I will exhaust you all to death. At the very least, this Xiao still has the Buddhist sect's methods. This Xiao once again had delusional thoughts. Namo Maitreya Buddha, please forgive me. Swoosh. Xiaohua flew another 100 feet or so. Suddenly, at the top of the 5 brocade cloud painting, a golden light appeared. Immediately, that golden light was like a blazing sun, illuminating the entire great formation. A power even colder and more ruthless than pressure was emitted from that golden light, and along with the brilliance, it spread across the entire great formation. What is this? Xiaohua was shocked in his heart. He didn't know what kind of method Longqinga had used. Rumble. At the same time that golden light gradually fell, 5 thunderbolts appeared about 100 feet above Xiaohua's head. The 5 children appeared in the air again. At this time, the 5 children were also covered in golden light. Moreover, the 5 children had their hands clasped together, and their waists were slightly bowed. It seemed like a kind of respect, a kind of modesty, or a kind of respect. This golden light can actually make the children bow their heads? Xiaohua was stunned. When the golden light fell slowly, it arrived above the heads of the 5 children. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and saw clearly that this was a huge 5-dragon imperial jade seal. The 4 sides of the imperial jade seal, as well as the top, each had a golden dragon shape. Inscriptions flowed on the surface of the imperial jade seal. As the inscriptions flowed, strands of golden qi appeared from the void and rushed toward the imperial jade seal. When the golden qi landed on the surface of the imperial jade seal, it turned into thousands of tiny patterns that wrapped around the imperial jade seal. Therefore, although this 5-dragon imperial jade seal was carved from jade, it emitted an intense golden light. -12. Chapter 35-24. When the majestic 5-dragon imperial jade seal arrived above the heads of the 5 sons, the imperial jade seal slightly paused. In an instant, a golden light fell on top of the imperial jade seal. This golden light gave birth to several glittering golden words under the imperial jade seal. It was precisely receive the mandate of heaven, live forever and prosper. At the same time, a kind of valiant aura more turbulent than monstrous waves seeped out from these golden words. In an instant, the entire 5 brocade cloud diagram array was shrouded. When the 5 sons become one, you will become the son of heaven. A dignified voice came from an unknown son. Thus, the 5 sons slowly flew to the 5-dragon imperial jade seal. The 5 sons stretched out their hands. Immediately, an overflowing inscription flowed out from the 5 sons and blended with each other. Rumble. Hundreds of tiny thunderbolts appeared in the void. Lightning and tiny crystal threads flashed around the 5 sons and slowly overlapped with each other. As if it came from the throat, a 300-meter-tall giant's face and figure blurred appeared. After the giant made a sound, it stretched out its hand and held the golden 5-dragon imperial jade seal in the air. In an instant, the giant's hand emitted a golden brilliance. This brilliance dyed the giant's body in a moment. Then, a son of heaven, wearing an imperial robe and a tall crown, was born in the air. At the same time, the son of heaven's tightly closed eyes also opened. A dignified gaze swept across the entire array. An aura even more ruthless than the imperial jade seal swept through the entire space. Damn it! The son of heaven's gaze fell on Xiaohua's body and coldly said, as if the son of heaven's mouth was not joking, a cold and awe-inspiring aura rushed out of the void along with the monarch's words. One after another, miserable scenes of being beheaded appeared from this awe-inspiring aura. One scene after another, the faint smell of blood and faint screams suddenly appeared. Damn it! Xiaohua sneered. Light and shadow appeared around his body again. The Dharma idol grew bigger and bigger. It actually also grew to a full 300 meter tall. It was not inferior to the Son of Heaven. He shouted, "My life is in my hands. It can be in the sky, it can also be on the earth, but it will not be in thy hands." Ha ha ha. What do thou know? All the lands within the 4 seas belong to the king, and all the lands are the king's subjects. The Son of Heaven coldly sneered, "I have received orders from the heavens to bring peace to the world. You are but a mere commoner, yet you dare to try and stop me? Today, I will let you witness the might of the Son of Heaven." The Son of Heaven's voice was like thunder, deafening and resonating between heaven and earth. While speaking, the Son of Heaven raised his hand, and the 5-dragon imperial jade seal flashed with light that soared into the sky and fell towards Xiaohua. The 5-dragon imperial jade seal flew into the sky. 5 dragons flew out from the seal and turned into heavenly dragons that were dozens of feet long. They landed below the seal as if they were driving a carriage. Although the imperial jade seal did not change and was still the same as before, the imperial jade seal's brilliance surpassed that of the heavenly dragons. Even the 5 heavenly dragons, which were hundreds of feet long, could not block the imperial jade seal. What was special was that when the 5 dragons held the imperial jade seal once again emitted a yellow light. This light rushed into the 5 dragons, and they roared in the sky. An unparalleled imperial power descended from the sky. My world is where I control fate. Under my imperial power, gods and demons can be destroyed. The Son of Heaven roared, "Suppress, suppress, suppress." Following the Son of Heaven's roar, the 5 dragons dragged the imperial jade seal towards Xiaohua and suppressed the entire Black Cloud Ridge. In an instant, all living things in the Black Cloud Ridge bowed their heads. Under the imperial power, all living things were ants. Who dared to say no? Even if it was a great scholar, even if it was a literary saint or a literary star, they still had to bow their heads in respect in front of this imperial jade seal formed by fate. The earth is under my feet. The national plan is in my hands. Who dares to say more? Who is the one who will raise the hidden immortal? Who is the one who will dominate the world? Who has a higher battle record than my family? High and mighty, everyone look. My country is as beautiful as a painting. Climbing the mountain and stepping on the fog, laughing and cursing at the sky. Who else but me is worthy of praise? The giant Son of Heaven was impassioned. His eyes flashed with fanaticism. He waved his sleeves and loudly recited, "Whoever blocks my path, I will suppress them forever." Once the Son of Heaven's words came out, all people prostrated themselves. Even the 5 brocade cloud painting trembled rapidly and suddenly shrank into a thin layer, avoiding the sharp edge. Well said. The world was silent. Only the roar of the Son of Heaven could be heard. However, Xiaohua laughed loudly and loudly recited, "Xiao is the beginning. I am here, taking away your 10,000 years of freedom, carved in stone, recorded in the annals of history, how I rebuked. See how I suppress you. Suppress, suppress, suppress." Similarly, 3 sounds that were even louder than the thunderclap tore apart the majesty of the giant Son of Heaven. However, Xiaohua's body was also flashing with an ochre-yellow brilliance. This brilliance rushed out from the surface of his body and condensed into a huge dragon figure that was even more solid than the 5 dragons. This dragon figure slightly closed its eyes, like a sleeping dragon in a deep sleep. It circled around Xiao Hua's 1,000 feet golden body. Following Xiao Hua's 3 shouts, this huge dragon opened its eyes. Thousands of imperial aura suddenly shot out from the dragon's eyes. Moreover, the suppressive power of the dragon's body was even stronger. Roar! The sleeping dragon woke up and roared. The 5 dragons that roared over all crawled in fear. In front of the sleeping dragon, these 5 dragons were merely 5 little loaches. Even the jade seal that shined brightly before was abnormally dim now. It was like a candle before a pearl. After the sleeping dragon roared, it escaped from Xiao Hua's golden body and rushed into the sky. It swallowed the 5 dragons and the jade seal in one gulp. Then, the sleeping dragon swung its tail and hit the stunned giant son of heaven in the sky. Boom! With a loud bang, the giant son of heaven collapsed under this fate that was 100 times stronger than his. 5 words slowly separated. However, before the 5 words could appear, it collapsed again. The already shattered 5 brocade cloud painting couldn't withstand the dragon's aura anymore and shattered. After the cloud painting, many people were revealed in disbelief. Roar! The sleeping dragon flew back to Xiao Hua's golden body and roared again. It lowered its head and disappeared into the golden body's head. Although Xiao Hua's golden body was still covered in wounds, who would dare to underestimate it now? Lung Chinga, hand over your life. Xiao Hua did not retract his golden avatar. With a thought, the sword gourd rushed out from the void. The object with a nose and eyes appeared on the sword gourd. Green and red spirit execution yuan light shot out from the sword gourd and pierced towards Long Chinga's neck. Who would have thought that while Long Chinga was trembling in fear, a golden aura shot out from the top of his head. The golden spear swayed and blocked the spirit execution yuan light, preventing it from falling. Furthermore, Long Chinga saw that Xiao Hua was going to kill him. Auspicious clouds appeared under his feet as he prepared to escape. This Xiao might not be a match for you in a round-robin battle, but if it's a one-on-one battle, Long Chinga, even 10 of you won't be a match for this Xiao. This Xiao has been waiting for you for so long to establish my might. Now, it's time for you to die. Xiao Hua sneered. He reached out his hand and used the heaven and earth sleeve technique. Rumble. The golden spear was actually grabbed by Xiao Hua. As the golden aura was broken, Long Chinga's eyes immediately became lifeless. He was dumbstruck and didn't move anymore. The spirit execution yuan light fell and chopped off Long Chinga's head. There was a clear pu sound. There was no blood coming out from Long Chinga's neck. There was only a golden light that shot up into the sky. A golden primordial spirit was about to escape, but just as it appeared, it stood in the air as if its soul had been stolen. The green-red spirit execution yuan light didn't hesitate. It slashed through the air, and the primordial spirit execution yuan light was sucked into the spirit execution yuan light and disappeared. Pooh! Only then did Long Chinga's hot blood spurt out from his neck. Blood splattered everywhere. Humph! Xiao Hua snorted coldly. Light flashed around his body as he descended from the sky. He retracted his transcendence golden body and held the sword gourd in his hand as he coldly looked at everyone. No one dared to move. No one dared to beg for mercy. No one dared to provoke him. Even the flames in Shi Buohong's eyes disappeared, revealing 2 skeleton-like black holes. With a wave of his hand, Xiao Hua took Long Chinga's chinkuan pouch and took out a silk handkerchief. He raised his head and made a grabbing motion in the air. The 5-colored cloud brocade in the sky abruptly shrank and transformed into a diagram in front of Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua glanced at Bai Hou Yuqin and lightly said, "Bai Hou Yuqin, it seems like you like the 5-chi thunder." Hearing Xiao Hua call her Bai Hou Yuqin, Bai Hou Yuqin's heart calmed down. She didn't dare to be negligent and quickly took out the silk handkerchief. She respectfully handed it to Xiao Hua and said, "This concubine doesn't dare. This concubine is a defeated person. I will listen to Xiao. Daoist Zhao's punishment." Bai Hou Yuqin was truly convinced to call Xiao Hua Daoist Master Xiao. She did not dare to call Xiao Hua Daoist Master Xiao as an equal. Xiao Hua took the silk handkerchief and put it away without even looking at it. He nodded and said, fellow Taoist, you were forced by the royal power. Even if you were forced by the situation, I will not lower myself to your level. However, this Xiao will be the imperial advisor of Jiang country in the future. You will have to avoid the army of Jiang country. Yes, this concubine knows. Bai Hou Yuqin's heart was completely at ease. Taoist Master Xiao, you don't have to worry about this. From now on, the battle between Copper Pillar State and Jiang country is limited to the battle between soldiers and generals. Copper Pillar State has already lost the right to compete with Taoist Master. All right, leave behind a copy of your Water Qi Chaoyuan cultivation technique and your ordinary Confucian cultivation manuals. You can leave now. Xiao Hua nodded slightly and instructed. This, Bai Hou Yuqin was stunned, but she only hesitated for a moment before taking off her Qinkuan bag. After taking out some things from it, she respectfully handed them over to Xiao Hua and said, "Many thanks for Taoist's kindness." "Hee, you're welcome." Xiao Hua was overjoyed. He took the heaven and earth pouch and laughed. "When this Xiao is free, I will go to your Ling Yunya and disturb you. This concubine will be waiting for Taoist Master." Bai Hou Yuqin bowed and left. She didn't want to stay here any longer, so she brought her disciples and left on a cloud. After Bai Hou Yuqin left, Shibo Hong glanced at Zhang Yuming, who was shrinking at the back, as well as Beigo Zhenming. He took a step forward and said indifferently, "Taoist Master Xiao, I can give you the flaming brocade cloud painting, but I cannot hand over the fire Qi Chaoyuan cultivation technique." -12. Chapter 35-25. Xiao Hua's face was as calm as water. He looked up and down at Shi Buohong and said coldly, "You don't have to show off your unyielding attitude in front of me. To tell you the truth, no matter how forthright you are, when you made the broken tooth beast self-destruct, you couldn't be the same as Bai Hou Yuqin. If you don't want to leave behind the cultivation technique, then I can only take it myself." A spark flashed in Shi Buohong's black eyes, but in the end, this spark did not dare to turn into a pillar of fire. After a while, Shi Buohong took out a Qinkuan bag and obediently handed it to Xiao Hua. You can leave now." Xiao Hua took the universe bag and said coldly, "Thank you, Taoist Master." Shi Buohong cupped his hands, turned around and took 2 steps, then turned back and said, "Actually, Taoist Master might not know, but when he blew up the broken tooth beast, I also felt heartache. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have come." Xiao Hua ignored him and said indifferently, "Tempted by benefits, this is the outcome. Perhaps if you understand this point, you will have the qualifications to fight with me." Sigh. I've learned my lesson. Shi Buohong let out a long sigh. His body flashed with flames, and he also left with his disciples. Xiao Hua raised his head, looked at Beiguo Zhenming and Dou Shanjun behind him, thought for a moment, then waved his hand and said, "A few days ago, I have offended the Copper Pillar Academy. You can go." "No need." Unexpectedly, Beiguo Zhenming shook his head and said, "Wrong is wrong, right is right. That day, my Copper Pillar Academy put the law first and insisted on ruling the country according to law, but the Taoist master put reason first and insisted on taking revenge. The methods of the Taoist master. It's considered light." With that, Beiguo Zhenming raised his hand, and similarly, a universe bag was respectfully handed over to Xiao Hua. When Xiao Hua received it, he said, "My Copper Pillar Academy has a collection of millions of books. When I return to the academy, I will have my disciples send the copies to the Black Wind Ridge." Xiao Hua was overjoyed. He bowed and said, "Thank you, headmaster." "I don't dare." Beiguo Zhenming hurriedly returned the greeting and said, "I have a presumptuous request. I hope you will listen to it." It seems that I can't take this book for nothing." Xiao Hua smiled. "Headmaster, please speak." The war between the Jiang country and the Copper Pillar country is a war between countries. Although the Copper Pillar Academy is the imperial academy of the Copper Pillar nation, I still have some restraint in the matters of war and do not allow students of the academy to participate. Xiao Hua frowned slightly and said with a smile, "Then why did Lord Academy Head come to Black Wind Ridge? Admiring the moon and flowers? If there's anything you need, please feel free to tell me." Beiguo Zhenming's face turned hot, and he smiled. "I only ask, discuss with the Taoist master. If the Jiang country destroys the Copper Pillar state, Will the Jiang country be able to keep my Copper Pillar Academy? This, Xiaohua ponders for a moment, then says with a smile, it shouldn't be a problem. It's just an academy. Who knows how many academies there are in the entire hidden immortal continent? One more Copper Pillar Academy doesn't matter. One less Copper Pillar Academy doesn't matter either. However, I will not interfere in this matter. If there is such a possibility later on, you can explain it to the royal family of Jiang country. Beigo Jinming was overjoyed. He bowed and said, I thank you on behalf of the tens of thousands of students of the academy. Go, go. Xiao Hua laughed. Watch more, speak more, experience more of the people's livelihood. It's better than any scheming and scheming in the imperial court. Beigo Jinming brought the students of the Copper Pillar Academy and left. Do Shanjun had flown far away, and even slightly tilted his head to glance at Xiao Hua. The expression on his face was complicated, and no one knew what he was thinking. In the end, only the Jiang family from the Copper Pillar State was left. The old scholar from the Jiang family, who had previously vowed to kill Xiao Hua, had an ashen face as he stood there, watching Beigo Jinming and the others leave one after another, his eyes filled with envy. When Xiao Hua's gaze landed on Jiang Yuming gritted his teeth and flew over, bowing. Taoist Master Xiao, I know that the Jiang family has a great enmity with the Taoist master, but, according to what I know, it's not too secretive. It's just that some of the Jiang family's little villains are plotting against the Seven Sons Temple, and it has nothing to do with my Jiang family's patriarch and the other direct descendants. As the saying goes, a finger that stretches out is not of an ordinary length. My Jiang family really can't guarantee that there won't be scum like Jiang Wenhao in the future. Taoist Master, I don't dare to say anything about him, but I can guarantee that I will give Taoist Master an explanation. Xiao Hua stared at Jiang Yuming, seeing that Jiang Yuming's scalp was numb and his neck was cold. He was really afraid that the sword gourd in Xiao Hua's hand would suddenly shoot out the soul extermination vital light. This thing was too sharp, and the current him was definitely not a match for it. When Xiao Hua's gaze swept across the other old scholars, they all shrunk their necks, not daring to say anything. After a long while, Xiao Hua sighed and said, Jiang Yuming, I won't hide it from you. When I first saw the corpse of the Seven Sons Temple's old Taoist and knew that it was your Jiang family's disciples who did it, I wanted nothing more than to kill your Jiang family's disciples one by one. Since I dared to kill my way into the Copper Pillar State Academy, I naturally dare to kill my way into your Jiang family. I know that although you are begging for mercy, you might not be truly afraid in your heart, and your Jiang family must have a way to protect themselves. You are betting that I might not die together with your Jiang family for the Seven Sons Temple's old Taoist. If that's what you think, then you are wrong. Xiao Hua dared to kill the state preceptor of the Copper Pillar State Academy and dared to make an enemy out of an entire country. You simply don't know how to write the word fear. Jiang Yuming's face instantly turned pale, and his teeth slightly bit his lips. Unfortunately, Xiao Hua looked at Jiang Yuming's face and shook his head again. Jiang Yuming, you are still wrong. Our Dao sect's cultivators are not like what you think they are, killing people as if they were flax, and repaying kindness and enmity as they please. In this world, there are right and wrong, and the heavenly Dao will uphold justice. If I were to exterminate your Jiang family one by one, I'm afraid that even the old Taoist who has always been kind and benevolent wouldn't be willing. Therefore, you all should return and quickly kill everyone involved in this matter. Remember, including the person behind Jiang Wenhao, no matter who it is, kill them all. Then, offer their heads respectfully to the Seven Sons Temple. Moreover, this matter must be engraved into a stele and erected in front of the Seven Sons Temple. Jiang Yuming's expression changed greatly. Xiao Hua's request truly made things difficult for him. After all, once the stele was inscribed, the Jiang family would lose all face. He didn't dare to agree without permission and hurriedly said with a smile, Taoist Master, you can kill them, and you can also offer their heads. This stele inscription, humph, it must be written down without missing a single word. Xiao Hua sneered. I won't hide it from you. I originally wanted to exterminate your Jiang family to establish my might, but who would have thought that the state preceptor of the Bronze Pillar country would actually come forward? He could be considered to have died in your place. If the Jiang family can't even agree to this, then don't blame me for not showing mercy. Sigh. Jiang Yuming turned around to look at his uncles. Everyone exchanged glances and sighed. This matter involves the family head, so I don't dare to casually agree. However, I will definitely persuade the family head to agree. Good. When Xiaohua heard this, he didn't dawdle. He waved his hand and said, since you agree, leave your chinko in pouches and go. Remember, you only have one choice between washing your neck and erecting the steel inscription. Yes, I understand. I will take my leave. Jiang Yuming knew that he had no other choice. He respectfully handed over his chinko pouch to Xiaohua, cupped his hands, and dejectedly left. Looking at the backs of Jiang Yuming and the others, Xiaohua sneered. He had become famous through this battle. He didn't believe that the Jiang family would dare to disagree. When everyone was far away, Xiaohua's figure slightly swayed. The golden light around his body instantly dimmed, and a painful expression appeared on his face. The 5 scrolls of the 5 Suns Imperial Examination Scroll were too powerful. Not only did Xiaohua completely block them, he even shattered them. Xiaohua himself also suffered heavy injuries. And in the end, Long Qingge actually used the Bronze Pillar country's fate to suppress him. This made Xiaohua secretly obedient. Under the stimulation of the Imperial Jade Seal's fate, Xiaohua also activated the Dragon Vein to be arrogant once. However, the price of this arrogance was that Xiaohua's injuries were even more severe. In fact, Xiaohua could be considered a paper tiger just now. He was truly an arrow at the end of its flight when he activated the Execution Spirit Origin Light. But fortunately, his aura was like a rainbow. Beigo Jinming and the others were already afraid. Who would dare to challenge him? Xiaohua returned to his original form. His body flashed with golden light, covering all his injuries. Only then did he land in front of the Black Wind Ridge. At this time, the Black Wind Ridge was no longer the Black Wind Ridge of the past. Not to mention the Black Wind Ridge, even the entire Black Cloud Ridge had completely changed. Not only did the 5 brocade cloud paintings Grand Chi blow away all the black clouds, it even caused the majority of the mountain peaks to collapse. There were even more mountain springs and hills that appeared out of thin air. Xiaohua's divine sense swept across. The entire Black Cloud Ridge was in a mess, as if thousands of indomitable giants had stepped over here. Looks like the ruler of the Bronze Pillar Nation is already confident. After the annexation of the Jiang country, it will be the Jiasa country's turn. This last bit of cover will be torn apart. Xiaohua smiled faintly. He waved his hand, and a few rays of light flashed past. Rumble. With a few loud sounds, hundreds of rays of light flew out from all directions and landed in Xiaohua's hands. The capital star formation was removed, revealing the Black Wind Ridge under the protection of the Great Formation. Although Xiaohua's capital star formation was powerful, it was not complete after all. Furthermore, it was set up using hundreds of jade talismans, and under the attack of the 5 brocade cloud painting, which was equivalent to the Immortal Palace formation, it also revealed a flaw. A portion of the capital star formation was destroyed by the Grand Chi Pillar, and many spirit demons were killed or injured. These spirit demons were from the Black Wind Ridge, Mo Yun Ridge, and Lion Mountain. The capital star formation did not block the vision of the crowd and the demons. Everyone could see Xiaohua's majestic posture in the air. Compared to the fear of the people of the Bronze Pillar Nation, what they gained was confidence and pride. They had never seen a person or a demon with such unfathomable abilities. They had never seen a person or a demon that could directly face the entire formation, especially when they understood that the reason the Bronze Pillar Nation had set up such a large formation in the Black Cloud Ridge was to take all of their lives. Their gratitude, respect, and worship towards Xiaohua had already reached an unparalleled level. So much so that when Xiaohua removed the Great Formation, there was no need for the Black Bear spirit to speak. Everyone and all the demons knelt on the ground and shouted like a mountain. We await Master's return. -12. Chapter 35-26. No one in the entire Black Wind Mountain range said a word of thanks. It was just a simple sentence, but Xiaohua understood that this was the kind of sincerity these people and demons had. They were treating him as their true master. All right, stand up. Xiao Hua waved his hand. He did not use any power, but everyone and all the Yao stood up in unison without any hesitation. It was as though there was a mountain of blades and a sea of fire in front of them. If Xiao Hua gave the order, they would charge forward. Xiao Hua slowly floated to the front of the cave and landed there. Lu Yi and Wang Bianfei were very clever. They had already brought out a chair from the cave and waited for Xiao Hua to sit down. The two of them respectfully stood to the left and right of Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua sat upright on the chair and looked around. Looking at the demons that covered the mountains and plains, he had an inconceivable feeling in his heart. He originally wanted to prosper the Dao sect, but who would have thought that there were only a few Dao sect cultivators who came? But this demon had gathered a bunch of them. Compared to his expectations of just having the black bear spirit to guard the sect, this was far greater. Black bear, Xiao Hua called coolly. Old master, this one is here. Hearing Xiao Hua call him first after sitting down, the black bear spirit was moved to tears. He hurriedly scrambled out from the side and knelt on the ground. Golden eagle, white lion, where are you? Xiao Hua looked and nodded slightly at the black bear spirit and called out again. The golden eagle great king and myriad lion king did not dare to be negligent. They rushed over and knelt behind the black bear spirit, calling out, "This one is here. What orders does old master have?" From today onwards, the Black Cloud Ridge is truly our Black Cloud Ridge. This is this old man's cave. Guard the surroundings for this old man, Xiao Hua said with a smile. The black bear spirit, golden eagle great king, and myriad lion king were overjoyed. They kowtowed and said, "This one is willing to die for old master. In, go. Take your troops and tidy up this Black Cloud Ridge. Do not lose this old man's face." Xiao Hua ordered. This one understands. The three Yao kings received the order and led the Yao down Black Wind Ridge. Under the black bear spirit's arrangements, they each chose a direction and started to tidy up. Xiao Jian, Chongling, Qin Xiaoyao. Xiao Hua spoke again. Old master. The three hurriedly walked in front of Xiao Hua and knelt down. The Chongling princess did not dare to act like a princess. This old man has killed the imperial advisor of the Copper Pillar State. It can be considered as me reclaiming some face for Jianghua. Xiao Hua said with a smile. Just now, the headmaster of the Imperial Academy of the Bronze Pillar Country made it clear that from now on, it is time for all of you to fight and conquer. The king of the Bronze Pillar Country will no longer use the power of the Confucian cultivators against you. The Chongling princess bit her lips hard. She was so excited she wanted to shout. She hurriedly said, "Chongling thanks old master for acting. Chongling will not disappoint old master, recover my country, and destroy Copper Pillar Country." Master, don't be careless. Xiao Jian seemed to think for a long time before he spoke again. The Copper Pillar Country's formation is beyond my expectations. The Copper Pillar Country's king's goal is not small. Even if he lost the imperial teacher, he might have other methods and cultivators. At the side, the Chongling Duchess opened her mouth as though she wanted to say something, but when she saw Xiao Hua's tired expression, she closed her mouth. Xiao Hua smiled and said, "This old man knows. With this old man here, you do not have to be afraid of this. After this battle, I fear no one will come to provoke us in the short term. You all should hurry. This old man is tired and needs to rest for a while. You will have to rely on yourselves." "Yes, this one knows." Xiao Jian and Chongling nodded and said, "We wish old master's saintly body good health. No matter, just seclusion for a while." Xiao Hua waved his hand for them to leave. Then he stood and said, "Qin Xiaoyao, come in with this old man?" "Yes." Qin Xiaoyao hurriedly stood and walked behind Xiao Hua. Lu Yi and Wang Bianfei once again took chairs and walked behind. After entering the residence, Xiao Hua sat down. He looked at Qin Xiaoyao and said with a smile, "This old man needs to be in seclusion for a while. Xiao Jian and Chongling will be responsible for the war. I fear I will have to trouble you with the matters of the Dao soldiers and the sections. This is this disciple's duty. I will not shirk even if I die 10,000 times." Xiao Hua's abilities were many times stronger than Qin Haoyue's. How could Qin Xiaoyao not know the choice? He hurriedly bowed and said, "This old man does not know how to train Dao soldiers and the like, so I will not speak." Xiao Hua waved his hand and took out a small universe bag. He handed it to Qin Xiaoyao and said, "These are some pills and methods. Take them to your disciples. And, if possible, you can take those disciples into your sect, and a few with similar cultivation to you as your junior sect brothers. Also, you can pick some of the talented ones among those Dao soldiers to be your third-generation disciples." Yes, this disciple understands. Qin Xiaoyao was so excited his body trembled. Xiao Hua's meaning was clear. "You all count as this old man's outer sect disciples," Xiao Hua said with a smile. "This old man does not plan on taking so many of you as disciples." Yes, this disciple understands. This disciple is already endlessly grateful. How could Qin Xiaoyao not know the difficulty of being accepted into the sect? Right? Also, these are some talismans. You can divide them among yourselves. See who can use what. Remember, do not randomly snatch and be greedy, Xiao Hua said as he thought of something. He waved his hand and took out some talismans that Xiao Hua repaired and placed them into the small universe bag. Qin Xiaoyao received the small universe bag gratefully. He scanned it with his divine sense, and his face almost turned pale. He said with a trembling voice, "Master, why? So many?" "It's nothing," Xiao Hua said with a proud smile. "Feel free to recruit Dao soldiers. This old man can help you forge this Dao soldier into hidden immortal continents, #1 soldier." "Many thanks, Master." Qin Xiaoyao knelt and kowtowed. "There are also pills that you want to use inside. Feel free to take them. These things are all up to you." Xiao Hua said with a smile. "Louis and the others, you don't have to pay attention to them?" "Yes, this disciple understands." Qin Xiaoyao looked at Lu Yi and Wang Bianfei with some envy. "Go." Xiao Hua waved his hand. "This old man is in seclusion. Without Lu Yi and Wang Bianfei's call, you can't enter. This disciple will follow Master's orders." Qin Xiaoyao's tone was the same as the black bear spirit's. But just as he took half a step back, he thought of something and probed, "Master, from what I hear, you want to establish a Dao sect. This disciple also hopes that there will be a Dao sect on hidden immortal continent. But our sect, does it have a name? We can't use Jiang country, or the name of the former Qin ancestor." Xiao Hua pondered for a moment and said, "Then let's call it the Fortune Gate." "Yes, the Gate of Good Fortune is exactly what Master wants." Qin Xiaoyao was overjoyed. He turned around and was about to leave, but after taking 2 steps, Qin Xiaoyao thought of something and hurriedly turned around. He smiled and said, "Master, and this disciple said before, to be the master of a country, you need the approval of others. This old man doesn't need the approval of others." Xiao Hua said with a faint smile. "Yes, this disciple understands." Qin Xiaoyao also knew that with Xiao Hua's strength, if he wanted to be the master of a country, the other cultivators would not be able to interfere. Seeing Qin Xiaoyao leave the cave, Xiao Hua's eyes turned and he said, "Oh right, Xiaoyao, what do you need to do for the so-called approval? Go and find out. This old man wants to establish a Dao sect, but I'm afraid it's not something my Fortune Gate can do alone. It's only right to know as many Dao sect cultivators as possible." "Yes, this disciple understands." Qin Xiaoyao agreed and left. "Louis, come here." Xiao Hua ordered again. "Yes, Master." Louis hurriedly stepped forward and bowed, waiting for Xiao Hua's orders. "Sit down cross-legged and cultivate like normal." Xiao Hua ordered indifferently. "Master." Louis hurriedly shouted, "Right now. The most important thing for you is to rest and go into seclusion. It won't be too late to talk about this after Master comes out of seclusion." "Haha, no need. This old man just wants to take a look. I don't necessarily have to make a move." Although Xiao Hua was seriously injured at this time, his soul cultivation power was not lacking at all. As he spoke, he immediately took out his soul bridge. Seeing this, Wang Bianfei hurriedly retreated to the cave's entrance and cautiously guarded there. With the experience of opening Wang Bianfei's spiritual roots, Xiao Hua was familiar with activating the soul bridge with the heaven-cleansing earth art. As Xiao Hua expected, Lu Yi and Wang Bianfei were the same. Their spiritual roots were sealed by a layer of starlight restriction. This seal was replenished by starlight day and night and would not disappear on its own. Only an external force like Xiao Hua's heaven-cleansing earth art could break it. However, other than the strange phenomenon of starlight, the sky full of multicolored light did not appear, and did not attract the attention of others. All right, you can try to sense the world's origin energy, Xiao Hua said tiredly as a green light appeared between his eyebrows. Louis tried a little and immediately knelt on the ground, shouting, "Disciple Louis thanks Master for giving me a new lease of life. Disciple can now sense the world's origin energy." Good. Since it's like this, then take it as cultivating diligently. Let's see who can enter this old man's door first and become a senior brother, Xiao Hua said with a smile. Disciple is willing to cultivate with Yuan Bianfei, but I don't want to compete with him. After all, it doesn't matter who becomes the senior brother. It would hurt our feelings for no reason. Louis knew that Xiao Hua liked to be straightforward and did not hesitate to say the words in his heart. Xiao Hua heard and said, "Since you said so, you will be the senior brother. In the future, you and Yuan Bianfei will cultivate hand in hand and progress together." "Yes, disciple understands. Master, please go into seclusion." The medicinal pills that Yuan Bianfei used, as well as disciple's previous comprehension, will all be given to him, Louis said with a smile. After Xiao Hua finished instructing, he let Louis leave. After he came to the cave, he set down the capital star array jade talisman to protect the entire quiet room. Then he sat cross-legged on the praying mat and patted his head. With a roar, his whole body flashed with a blood-red brilliance. The black flame and demonic blood rushed out of his blood vessels and covered Xiao Hua's whole body. -12. Chapter 35-27. Previously, when Xiao Hua was fighting with Long Qingge and the others in the 5 brocade cloud painting, his blood drop paradise was hidden in his blood vessels. However, after he was injured, some of the black flames and demonic energy leaked out. The vast righteous qi in the formation immediately attacked his blood vessels, making Xiao Hua's blood vessels' injuries even worse. Moreover, the demons of the demonic realm were all body cultivators. This blood drop paradise was the best at repairing the body. Xiao Hua's current injuries could also be healed by this blood drop paradise. It took Xiao Hua a full 10 days to completely repair his severely damaged bloodline and fleshly body. Then, Xiao Hua reached out and took out Long Qingge's Qingkuan pouch. After searching for a bit, he found the method to set up the 5 brocade cloud painting. Then, with a wave of his hand, the 5 brocade cloud painting flew out of the space. Xiao Hua opened his mouth and breathed a few mouthfuls of true energy on it. The entire cloud painting gradually expanded and covered the quiet room. Although there were 2 types of cloud brocades that looked very thin, the 5 brocade cloud painting was successfully set up. Then, Xiao Hua took out 5 silk handkerchiefs. After searching for a bit, he found the method to activate them. He breathed a few mouthfuls of true energy, and the 5 silk handkerchiefs turned back into the immortal slaying stage with great difficulty. However, this immortal slaying stage was pitifully small, and its appearance was also somewhat blurry. Pooh! Xiao Hua opened his mouth again, and a sword light hit the immortal slaying stage. Rumble! A sound like muffled thunder came from the immortal slaying stage. However, the entire immortal slaying stage shook for a moment, and the 5 qi righteous thunder that Xiao Hua was expecting didn't fall. "Little thunder, don't be lazy. Come out." Xiao Hua's eyes turned, then he dragged little lightning out from the space and threw it onto the immortal slaying platform. Sure enough, just as little lightning landed, a thunderclap rumbled from the void and landed on the 5 antennae of the immortal slaying platform. Shortly after, a 5-colored lightning bolt that was only as thick as a thumb descended from the immortal slaying platform. Xiao Hua didn't dare to be negligent and urged his nascent soul to come out of his lower dantian. Although the nascent soul was invisible, Xiao Hua could clearly feel that it was dispirited and even showed signs of collapse. When the heavenly lightning landed on the Yuanying, not only was the Yuanying not nourished as Xiao Hua had expected, its entire body trembled as if it was about to collapse. Xiao Hua was greatly alarmed and hastily invited the green-robed Xiao Hua out. Seeing this scene, the green-robed Xiao Hua shook his head and said, "Fellow Taoist, you're too hasty." Now that his nascent soul was so weak, How could he directly withstand the 5-chi thunder? Besides, without I controlling the nascent soul, how can you be at ease with him under the heavenly lightning? Thank you, fellow Taoist. Jade Archive Xiao Hua nodded and said, I have comprehended the 5-chi's unification's cultivation technique. Hee, fellow Taoist, are you trying to comprehend the 5-chi's unifications? Fellow Taoist, you're not joking with me, right? Green-robed Xiao Hua said with a smile. As far as I know, the scholarly cultivator Xiao Hua seems to have made some progress, right? Hee. Jade Archive Xiao Hua knew that green-robed Xiao Hua was right, so he only laughed and said, then I will go and refine the 9 stars transit. Actually, in I's opinion, you might as well take a look at scholarly books. Green-robed Xiao Hua said while controlling his nascent soul and slowly entering his lower dantian. The righteous chi of scholarly cultivators comes from books. If fellow Taoist wants to obtain the essence of scholarly cultivation techniques, you'll have to personally read some of these books. These books aren't of much use to me. While speaking, the nascent soul had already entered his lower dantian. Following the nascent soul, the 5-chi thunder also strangely followed the nascent soul into his lower dantian. However, these heavenly lightning passed through the void and directly struck the nascent soul. However, in his lower dantian, other than the nascent soul, there was also true essence. When the heavenly lightning struck the nascent soul again, Xiao Hua felt a strange feeling in his heart. Forget it. There's no need for this Xiao to worry about anything. This Xiao should just study. Xiao Hua pulled his mind out and thought for a moment. Then, he took out a book from his small universe bag and started reading. As for inside his body, the green-robed Xiao Hua controlled his nascent soul. Under the effects of the 5-chi righteous thunder, the nascent soul was frantically repairing his injuries. Moreover, the nascent soul was growing bit by bit. Although this growth wasn't visible to the naked eye, it was obvious after a long time. Within Xiao Hua's meridians, metal essence was also being refined into true essence. This true essence followed the 5-chi thunder and entered the nascent soul's body, becoming the proof of its growth. Within his middle dantian, above the head of scholarly cultivator Xiao Hua, the 3-colored heavenly heart slowly rotated. Every day the heavenly heart rotated, 3-colored true essence would be produced and fall into the 5 viscera and 6 bowels near his middle dantian. In front of Xiao Hua's eyes, the 3 heavenly tomes were also flickering with brilliance and quietly floating there. The Buddha Sarira in his Niwan palace was now chanting Buddhist scriptures, and its body was shining with Buddhist light. As for Dragon Vein Xiao Hua, he was now sitting on the 5-dragon imperial jade seal. Dragon Vein Xiao Hua's mouth, nose, and other orifices had a golden mist that was like a dragon breathing in and out. This golden mist was then spat out from Dragon Vein Xiao Hua's mouth onto the 5-dragon imperial jade seal. The golden mist inside the imperial jade seal would overflow from time to time, as if it was being refined. Within his bloodline, there was a demonic blood spirit that looked very similar to Xiao Hua. Right now, its body was also flickering with black flames. It took a very inexplicable posture and stretched out its hands. It looked like it was embracing the world. Endless demonic blood, mixed with black flames, rushed out from the left side of the demonic spirit's body. At the same time, endless demonic blood, mixed with black flames, rushed in from the right side of the demonic spirit's body. The demonic spirit's body was moving up and down in a very rhythmic manner. But if someone carefully observed, they would be able to see that this rhythm was 9 shallow and 1 deep. If one carefully thought about it, the demonic spirit's posture was very similar to the old man pushing a cart that Xiao Hua liked. Looking at the bone-tempering Xiao Hua, he was the most pitiful. His huge body emitted an orange brilliance, and within this brilliance, there was a yellow flow that was constantly being refined. However, on his left arm, there were traces of blood and black mixed together, and a rather eye-catching crack appeared on it. Every time Xiao Hua saw this crack, he would gnash his teeth and the yellow flow around his body would accelerate. Clearly, he wanted to mend this crack. Copper Pillar Country, inside the majestic palace, above the majestic palace, not to mention how magnificent the palace was, nor how beautiful the carved beams and painted pillars were, not to mention how orderly the palace was. Whether it was the curtains or the incense, they all revealed a kind of solemnity. Just the dozens of people standing on both sides of the jade steps of the main hall were enough to let people see the strength of the Copper Pillar country. On the left side of the jade steps, there was a group of civil officials dressed in scholarly robes. The one in front was already over 60 years old, but his appearance was simple and his face was full of righteousness. Although there was a brocade chair beside him, he still stood there with his back straight and held a green jade tablet in his hand. Behind the old man, there were fat or thin, tall or short. Every civil official's brocade robe was different, and the patterns on it were also different. However, the red glow on their faces was completely the same. Contrasting with their glowing faces were the military generals standing opposite the civil officials. These military generals were all clad in bright armor and had an imposing aura. The domineering air they exuded when they puffed out their chests and raised their heads was very obvious. The military generals were generally at least a head taller than the civil officials. Furthermore, their muscles were robust, and they stood there like iron towers and stone pillars. Although these military generals appeared incomparably mighty, if one were to take a closer look, one would be able to see that there were wisps of clear light flashing above each of the civil officials' heads, forming different shapes. Moreover, following these clear light pillars, numerous mighty chi pillars were faintly discernible above the entire royal palace like a tidal wave. Rumbling sounds could be faintly heard. On the other hand, there was nothing unusual as the military generals stood there. However, when the military generals moved slightly, not only would there be the sound of armor clanging, there would also be a mighty chi surging over. The Bronze Pillar country's civil officials and generals were so imposing, but compared to the Bronze Pillar country's king, who was sitting on the Jade Dragon throne, they were far inferior. At this moment, there was a middle-aged man about 40 years old sitting on the dragon throne. This person had a square face, and his face was angular. His eyebrows were thick and black, and they were shaped like sharp swords. Under his eyebrows, the black and white in his eyes revealed a sharp glint. It was the intent of a sharp sword. Although this person was wearing a bright yellow dragon robe, there was a layer of golden armor under the dragon robe. The inscriptions on the armor floated slightly, flashing with a myriad of auras. These thousands of chi images floated in front of the dragon throne and immediately rushed into the air. That was where the king's crown was. The king's crown was bright yellow, and strings of crystal-clear pearls were attached to the edges of the crown. The chi images of the inscriptions rushed up, and the bright yellow on the crown swayed slightly. A faint ding-dong sound could be heard, and the bright yellow color turned into the shape of a faintly discernible dragon. Roar. Perhaps it was in the void, or perhaps it was in people's hearts, but a dragon's roar sounded in the royal palace. A thick dragon rushed out from the king's crown and pierced through the roof of the royal palace. Regardless of whether it was the pure aura of the civil officials or the noble aura of the military generals, all of them bowed down at this moment. When the dragon's roar ended, the dragon slowly descended and coiled above the monarch's head like a crouching dragon. At this moment, the king opened his mouth and said, "Everyone." As the king moved, the sleeping dragon above the king's head suddenly moved. Its tightly closed eyes opened, and an indescribable pressure instantly appeared and engulfed the entire royal palace. All the officials bowed and replied, "Long live the king, everyone." The king raised his hand and looked around with incomparable arrogance. He said calmly, "How's the discussion on the crusade against the Gu kingdom, the Jiming kingdom, the Jiasa kingdom, and the Yifeng kingdom?" "My king." As soon as the king finished speaking, an old man in his 70s hurriedly stepped out from among the civil officials. He held a jade tablet in his hand and bowed. "I've gathered the assistant ministers of the Ministry of War and discussed with General Haohu, General Wenfeng, and the others several times. We've come to a conclusion. Minister Yu, please speak," the king said with a smile. -12. Chapter 35:28. The old man was the minister of war of the Copper Pillar country, Yuzhong. When he heard the king's order, he calmly looked at the jade in his hand. He coughed and said, "I have analyzed the situation of the four countries. The countries of Gu and Yifeng were founded by Confucian cultivators, Jiming was founded by Taoist cultivators, and Jiasa was recently supported by Buddhist cultivators. Just from the surface, our Copper Pillar country should attack Jiming and Jiasa. The Jiasa is very close to our Copper Pillar country and isn't very strong. However, General Hao Hu's meaning is that the Yifeng country is controlled by the Yu family, a 7th-ranked aristocratic family. The Gu country is the territory of the Gu family, a 7th-ranked aristocratic family. The aristocratic families below the 7th rank do not have any deterrent power in front of my Bronze Pillar country, especially the Confucian schools of these two countries are. The agricultural school does not have much weight among the Confucian cultivators, and the national strength of the two countries is not much stronger than the Jiasa country. Although the Jiasa country is controlled by Buddhist cultivators and does not seem to be strong, the Buddha statues are now spread all over the hidden immortal continent, and I have never heard of the Buddha country being destroyed by someone. If my Bronze Pillar country is not careful, I'm afraid that the Buddhist sect will take revenge on me. My king also knows that those monks are the most sinister, and they also care about face. If my Bronze Pillar country is not careful, I might be besieged by several Buddhist countries. King, please make a decision. What about the Jiming country? Seeing that Yu Zhong did not mention the Jiming country, the king could not help but ask with interest. Yu Zhong hesitated for a moment, then said respectfully, "My king, this old subject and the others feel that although it is easy to destroy the country of Jiang, the remnants of the Tao sect are too stubborn. Today, the imperial advisor still has to bring many disciples to the Black Cloud Ridge. I, the Bronze Pillar country, might as well leave such a hard bone to gnaw on in the future." General Hao Hu, General Wenfeng, do you all think the same? No one had seen the expression on the monarch's face before. They only heard him ask indifferently. The two tiger generals in the middle immediately stepped out from the row of military generals opposite the civil official. They cupped their fists and bowed. "My king, we originally thought that if we attacked the country of Confucian cultivators, the aristocratic families of Confucian cultivators would be dissatisfied. Therefore, we might as well attack the countries controlled by the Buddhist sect and Tao sect first. The Buddhist sect has always been united. Moreover, the Buddhist sect's forces have recently invaded the Zhangxian mainland. Now that the longevity town in the country of Xi is the focus of everyone, and it is so close to the Bronze Pillar country, we shouldn't cause any more trouble. However, the fact that Jiang Tianheng, Pan Xing, Su Kuan, and the others were killed by Dao Li cultivators in Black Cloud Ridge without anyone noticing was truly out of our expectations. What's more, Imperial Advisor Lung has come to the Black Cloud Ridge in person, and the result of the battle is still unknown. We don't know the strength of the remaining Taoist. We don't know if the Jiming country has anything to do with this. Therefore, we suggest that we attack the Confucian country first and leave the Taoist country behind." Your thoughts are very considerate. I'm very pleased." The emperor seemed to be very happy and said with a smile. Then, he raised his hand and said, "Prime Minister, you should sit down too. The principle of the country has passed, but the affection of the family has come. If you don't sit down, I'll feel like walking on pins and needles. Thank you, my king, for granting me a seat." The old man in front of the civil official bowed slightly and sat down calmly. The civil official behind him looked respectful. When the old man sat down, the emperor asked again, "Prime Minister, what do you think? I'm already old and no longer have the ability to eat. My king cherishes old friendships and allows me to take a breather here. I'm very grateful. I still need my king to make a decision on the movement of this country." The old man was very humble. After talking for a long time, he didn't even have the slightest idea. However, the emperor said regretfully, "Alas, you're also old. When I was still a child, you were the one in charge of the imperial court. At that time, you were my sky. I'm ashamed. I don't dare." When the old man heard this, he hurriedly stood up. Back then, my king was still young, and Jiang country and Jiasa country were eyeing him covetously. This old subject did not dare to relax in the slightest. My king is the ruler of the ages. A single thought is 100 times better than this old subject. This old subject will persevere for a few more days, Then I will ask my king to retire and return to my hometown. At that time, I will have to ask my king for permission. Prime Minister, please sit. When the king saw this, he hurriedly raised his hand and said, Prime Minister is the bronze pillar of my bronze pillar country. How can you easily leave the imperial court? Don't mention returning to your hometown in the future. Sigh. The old man sighed and sat on the brocade chair while trembling, looking somewhat dejected. However, just as he sat down, his eyes, which seemed to be blurred by old age, casually glanced at the dragon table in front of the king. Surprise suddenly appeared in his eyes, and his but almost touched the brocade chair as he stood up again, exclaiming, My king! Then, the 5-dragon jade seal, why is it gone? Ah! When the old man said this, all the officials were shocked and looked at the dragon table. Indeed, the jade seal that was usually placed on the dragon table had disappeared without a trace. Haha, Prime Minister, don't be anxious. Everyone, don't panic. I originally wanted to wait for the imperial tutor's triumphant return before telling all of you about this. I didn't expect Prime Minister to notice this. Lung Chinga. Prime Minister looked a little angry and said sternly, How did this fellow bewitch my king? However, just as Prime Minister finished speaking, he immediately realized that his words were inappropriate. He hurriedly bowed and said, Forgive me, my king. This old subject has offended you. Haha, Prime Minister. You are wholeheartedly devoted to the country and see me as your nephew. How can I not understand your concern? How can I blame you? The king was not angry. He smiled and said, Prime Minister, please take a seat. This matter has nothing to do with imperial tutor Lung. When the old man sat down, the king said, Everyone, you don't have to worry about the remnants of the Black Cloud Ridge anymore. The imperial tutor has already brought the disciples of the Imperial Academy, Ling Yuanya, Shallow Moon Ridge, and the Jiang family to the Black Cloud Ridge to set up a great formation. This great formation, haha, even a peak 5th grade elemental energy cannot escape. Furthermore, the Imperial Tutor has obtained a secret technique to use the fate of the Bronze Pillar Nation to suppress the Taoist cultivators. This secret technique is foolproof. The Imperial Tutor will return triumphantly. From then on, the Taoist nation will be terror-stricken and no one will dare to go against the Bronze Pillar Nation. In my opinion, all of you are too narrow-minded. There is no need to consider whether the Confucian nation is invincible or the Buddhist nation is invincible. You only need to consider the strength of the Bronze Pillar Nation and act according to your capabilities. From your words, it seems like you already have a plan. We are all ears. The Minister of War, Yu Zhong, seized the opportunity and laughed. The king stood up proudly and waved his hand. He said, Now that the Bronze Pillar Nation has a strong army and valiant soldiers, we have just annexed the Jiang country and our morale is at its peak. We should take advantage of this victory and conquer the Jiming nation and Yifeng nation. Ah? Everyone in the palace was stunned. Even the prime minister's father, who claimed that he didn't care about the court, was tongue-tied. It was obvious that the king's words were beyond their expectations. The king was very satisfied with this effect. He waved his hand and the dragon on his crown roared. He proudly said, Wherever my sword points, nothing will stand in its way. Wherever my gaze reaches, it is all the land. Long live the king! Long live the king! The officials didn't dare to stand up. They all knelt down and cheered. At this time, the dragon roared again. With a whoosh, the dragon rushed straight to the top of the palace. Boom! A huge hole appeared on the top of the palace. The inscriptions on the top of the palace flickered. There was no way to stop it. The officials were even more shocked. Their eyes stared straight at the dragon on the king's body. It rushed into the sky and entered the void. The king's body shone with a golden light. When they looked at the king again, his face first showed the same astonishment. Then, he sneered. His eyes flashed with incomparable confidence. He waved the sleeves of his dragon robe and shouted, The earth is under my feet. The national plan is in my hands. Who dares to speak more? Who is the one who will raise the hidden immortals? Who is the one who will dominate the country? Who has a higher battle record than my family? High and mighty, everyone look. My country is as beautiful as a painting. I climb the mountain and step on the fog. I point at the sky and laugh. Who else but me can praise? Whoever stands in front of me and blocks my footsteps, I will suppress them forever. Long live His Majesty! Long live His Majesty! Long live His Majesty! An indescribable surge of hot blood surged in everyone's hearts. Everyone in the royal palace kowtowed to the ground and loudly shouted, "We will sacrifice our blood to the copper pillar and achieve greatness throughout the ages." Unfortunately, before their cheers died down, an even more powerful dragon roar sounded again. The wind and clouds above the palace changed drastically. Thousands of dark clouds gathered and the wind howled. A thunderbolt as thick as a child's arm struck from the void. It hit the palace and splendor splashed in all directions. In an instant, half of the palace collapsed. In the void, where the king's dragon aura rushed out, an even more powerful and ferocious dragon head popped out and swallowed the dragon aura that had yet to rush into the void. Although the huge dragon body in the mouth didn't come out from the void, the dragon aura above the king's head was still sucked dry by the dragon head. Roar! Before the dragon head left, it shook its head. The dragon's eyes swept across the palace. Its gaze was full of disdain. Moreover, the dragon head even spoke in human language. "Shao is the beginning. I am here to rob you of your freedom. This stone will be engraved in the annals of history. It will be passed down from generation to generation. Watch how this Shao suppresses you." With the dragon aura gone, not only did the dragon disappear, but also the fate of the copper pillar stayed on the king's body. The king stood there in a daze like a clay statue. The king wasn't the only one who was stunned. All of the officials in the palace knelt there. They didn't know what to think or what to say. After an unknown amount of time, the prime minister's father, who was kneeling on the ground, was the first to come to his senses. He immediately stood up and shouted, "Palace guards! Palace guards! Your servant is here." A few trembling palace guards hurriedly ran out from the palace gates and knelt in front of the prime minister's father. "Lock the palace gates and seal off all information." The prime minister's father's face was as ferocious as a dragon's. He said word by word, "If any rumors about what happened today are discovered, kill them immediately." -12. Chapter 35:29. Yes, sir. A few palace guards received the order and hurriedly ran out of the royal palace. "General Wenfeng," Xiang Fu called out again. General Wenfeng hurriedly stood up and cupped his fists. "This general is here. Take the commander's seal and mobilize the troops from all over the place. Guard the area that has been conquered and do not take any action. Temporarily wait for the king's next order." "This general obeys." General Wenfeng answered and left. Xiang Fu called out again, "General of Agile Cavalry, this general is. Bring your troops and rush to the left of the palace to guard against the remnants of Jiang country's sneak attacks." "Yes, General Hao Hu." Just as Prime Minister's father was about to give another order, the monarch spoke first, "Bring all my beloved subjects to Qingxin Palace to rest. Then, discuss with the Ministry of War and the Ministry of Revenue how to deal with the situation. I will first discuss with Prime Minister's father, and will be there soon." "Yes, sir." General Hao Hu received the order and placed his hand on the treasured sword at his waist. He walked to the front of the hall door and coldly looked at the officials. Seeing that the king had returned to normal and was calmly giving orders, a smile appeared on his father's face as he slowly sat down on the embroidered chair. Many of the officials crawled up from the ground. Some of them had doubt in their eyes, some had panic on their faces, some were confident, and some were calm. They slowly retreated from the royal palace and followed the flow of people to other places. "All of you leave." The king looked at the palace guards around him, as well as some palace maids and eunuchs who were trembling in fear. He waved his hand and instructed, "No one is allowed to stay within 100 feet of the royal palace. If anyone approaches, they will be killed immediately." "Yes, sir." The palace guard roared, as if emboldened, and retreated with the palace maids and eunuchs. When the royal palace was quiet, the king no longer spoke. He only quietly stared at the roof of the palace where the dragon Qi had broken through, staring at it for a long time. On the other hand, Xiang Fu was calm at this moment. He leisurely sat on the embroidered chair and looked at the king. His previously respectful eyes now had a trace of affection. Prime Minister. After a while, the monarch finally spoke, but his eyes never left the sky above his head. I haven't seen the blue sky for a long time. Looking at it today, the sky hasn't changed much. It's still as blue as when I followed you to the imperial garden when I was young. That's right, this old subject still remembers. Back then, this old subject was explaining the thoughts of an emperor to my king, but my king didn't listen and instead looked at the blue sky. This old subject was so angry that I even slapped my king a few times. A faint smile appeared on the Prime Minister's face. My king, do you still remember what you said that day? Sigh, Prime Minister, there's no one else in the imperial palace right now. Prime Minister, please call me by my name. The monarch sighed and said, at that time, I was still young. I don't really remember what I said. Hee, Ing Hong, you said something like, the sky is so blue and beautiful, and the sky is so big and broad. Husband, if your son's heart is as big as the sky, how great would that be? Ing Hong laughed. That's right, Ing Hong. Xiang Fu said with a smile. The wrinkles on his face were full of smiles. At that time, this old subject was dumbfounded. You were only 6 years old, but you actually said something so philosophical. This old subject's hands couldn't continue to hit you. Haha, it's just a child's joke. Prime Minister, you actually remember it so clearly. The monarch smiled helplessly. Xiang Fu said with a serious face, Ing Hong, if you think that way, then you're wrong. The bigger your heart, the taller the sky. Only a broad heart can allow you to gallop in this world. If the ancestors of the Ying family didn't have such a heart bigger than the sky, how could they have established the Bronze Pillar Nation? At this point, Xiang Fu hesitated for a moment before continuing. Actually, the so-called dragon-shaped providence is only the providence of the nation after the ancestors of the Ying family established the nation. This dragon chi is just a symbol, not the source. Sigh, Prime Minister. Ing Hong slowly walked to the jade platform and squatted in front of Xiang Fu. He held Xiang Fu's hand and said, in this world, I no longer have any relatives, nor do I have anyone I can trust. Prime Minister, you have more weight in my heart than my father. In front of Prime Minister, I shouldn't hide anything. However, there are many things that I don't dare to tell you because I'm afraid of implicating you. Actually, what I'm worried about isn't the Imperial Jade Seal, nor is it the Dragon Chi. Hong. Xiang Fu anxiously called out Ing Hong's nickname. He asked, what do you mean by that? Prime Minister, you're probably still wondering why I didn't discuss it with you before sending the State Preceptor to Black Cloud Ridge to exterminate the remnants of the Taoism, right? Ing Hong smiled. Furthermore, Prime Minister, you've repeatedly written to me that I should think thrice before acting, and that I shouldn't rashly attack a neighboring nation. Sigh, that's true. Xiang Fu held Ing Hong's hand as if he was looking at his own son and grandson. He sighed. My king has always been wise and far-sighted, and he's good at ruling the country. My Bronze Pillar country is stronger than Jiang country and Jiasa country, but if we want to devour them, especially the two countries that my king mentioned today, we're still unable to do so. This old subject feels that I can't keep up with my king's train of thought. I also feel that Lung Chinga is bewitching my king, which is why I'm so angry. Prime Minister, you've misunderstood the State Preceptor, and you've also misunderstood me. Prime Minister, please take a look at what this is. Ing Hong pulled his hand out of Prime Minister's father's hand, then reached into his bosom and took out a palm-sized medallion. The medallion looked very ordinary, but as soon as it appeared in the air, it immediately produced a 5-colored cloud, which swirled around the medallion and formed a palace about half a foot to the left. Immortal Palace token? Surprise appeared in Xiang Fu's eyes. He exclaimed softly, where did my king obtain this item? Prime Minister, this item should have been given to me by an envoy of the Immortal Palace half a year ago, Ing Hong explained. Along with this Immortal Palace token were the 5 brocade cloud painting, the 5 Chi Righteous Thunder method, and other items of the Immortal Palace. The envoy of the Immortal Palace said clearly that the Immortal Palace had taken a fancy to my Bronze Pillar country's prosperity, so they helped, and wanted my Bronze Pillar country to become the #1 empire of the hidden immortal continent. However, the envoy also said clearly that this matter was a secret that no one could know, fearing that it would cause dissatisfaction among the other Confucian countries of the hidden immortal continent. Xiang Fu frowned as he stared at the immortal palace token, as if he was thinking about something. After a long while, he finally opened his mouth. Thus, my king did not discuss with this old official, and decided on a plan to conquer Jiang country with the imperial advisor, and took down Jiang country with lightning speed. Then he let Jiang country's Chongling princess escape, wanting to use this to bait Jiasa country, and then take over Jiasa country? Yes, this is what I meant. Ing Hong did not conceal and said, Jiasa country was founded by Buddhist cultivators, and that group of bald donkeys is very united. My Bronze Pillar country rashly attacking will cause dissatisfaction among the other countries. If Jiasa country interferes in the matter of the Chongling princess, this one can legitimately attack. Unfortunately, the Chongling princess did not escape to Jiasa country, and was saved by a Taoist cultivator called Xiao Hua at Black Cloud Ridge. This Xiao Hua broke into my Bronze Pillar Imperial Academy under the Bloodsteel in Seven Yang Temple and ruined this one's face. Xiang Fu opened his mouth, but seemed to think of something, and closed it, listening to Ing Hong's explanation. The soldiers this one sent to kill the Chongling princess were all killed, and this one realized that this Xiao Hua was skilled, and even the faction behind him was very strong. Ing Hong said, so this one discussed with the imperial preceptor, and gave him the 5 brocade cloud painting and the 5 Qi righteous thunder method that the immortal envoy gave him, and told him to kill Xiao Hua at Black Cloud Ridge no matter what. But then the imperial preceptor and the others besieged Black Cloud Ridge for almost a month, and did not see Xiao Hua fight. Instead, those demons and the remnants of Jiang country showed up. The imperial preceptor was afraid something would happen, and discussed with this one. This one took out the country's stabilizing jade seal, and also gave him the secret art that the immortal envoy gave him. In this one's view, even if Xiao Hua of the Taoist sect is powerful, he can avoid the 5 Qi righteous thunder and the 5 suns ascension of the 5 brocade cloud painting. But he cannot avoid the wrath of the Son of Heaven. That is the pure destiny of a country. How can the Taoist sect disciples understand this? But, who would have thought? At this point, Ing Hong was slightly dejected because Xiao Hua's dragon energy was many times stronger than his. He really went for wool and came home shorn. It seems that Lung Chinga will not be able to return, and the people of the Imperial Academy will not be able to return. Xiang Fu nodded. My king has suffered great losses this time. Yes, I am not worried about the dragon energy being swallowed. After all, the Bronze Pillar country is under my control. Ing Hong replied. But the 5 brocade cloud painting and the 5 Qi righteous thunder technique were given by the immortal envoy. If the immortal envoy comes to patrol, I will not be able to deal with it. My king, have you thought about why the immortal envoy came to find you? Could it be that there is no country in the hidden immortal continent that is stronger than our Bronze Pillar country and more prosperous in destiny? There should be plenty of countries that are stronger. Ing Hong was stunned and did not understand. If we are talking about destiny, this is what the immortal envoy said, right? Xiang Fu was somewhat disdainful and actually interrupted Ing Hong. But Ing Hong did not find it strange at all, and nodded. Indeed, to be honest, I have thought about it too. Although the immortal envoy has proposed other conditions, but if I think about it carefully, I am afraid this matter is related to the country of Xi. Sai, my king, since you understand, why do you have to enter the trap? Xiang Fu sighed. The battle between immortals and Buddhas is unpredictable. If we are not careful, we will not even have a corpse left. Why should our Bronze Pillar country get involved in this muddy water? Xiang Fu, with our Bronze Pillar country's position and strength, it is the best place to rule the country of Xi. Ing Hong smiled bitterly. If the immortal palace is looking for a country, it has to be our Bronze Pillar country. My king has probably seen through it long ago. But you want to borrow the immortal palace's wind to sweep our Bronze Pillar country's flag all over the hidden immortal continent, right? Xiang Fu is the one who knows me well. Ing Hong nodded. If not for the sudden appearance of Black Cloud Ridge's Xiao Hua, this one's plan should have been carried out smoothly. Forget it. Many thanks, my king, for telling this old subject. Hearing this, Xiang Fu frowned and said, this was originally an excellent opportunity for the rise of our bronze pillar country. However, the appearance of the Dao sect's Xiao Hua made my king's plan go awry. The most important thing now is how to get rid of Xiao Hua, take back the Immortal Palace's item, and push everything to our desired trajectory. -12. Chapter 35:30. Prime Minister's Father. I suddenly have a bad feeling. Ing Hong said in a low voice, if the Immortal Palace can choose me, then the Dao sect. In other words, the power behind Xiao Hua. Could it be that Xiao Hua wants to take advantage of the chaos? That's extremely possible. The Prime Minister's father nodded. However, the Dao sect is weak in my hidden immortal continent. We don't need to care about it. Let's resolve the crisis in front of us first. Prime Minister, what's the plan? Ing Hong asked respectfully. The Prime Minister's father smiled as he looked at Ing Hong and said, this old official thought about it just now, and there should be a plan that can be said to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. I wonder if my king would like to hear it? Kill 3 birds with 1 stone? Ing Hong frowned, somewhat puzzled. This old official remembers that when the Jiang country was destroyed, Lung Qingge killed the Jiang country's imperial advisor, Qin Haoyue. Where is he imprisoned? The Prime Minister's father asked. It should be in the Jade Mountain dungeon. Ing Hong thought of something and his eyes lit up. This old official does not know about this. I believe that the remnants of the Jiang country and even the Dao sect's Xiao Hua do not know about this either. If Xiao Hua wants to help Princess Ling restore the country, he must borrow the power of the Jiang country's original Dao sect. Otherwise, he will have no reason to do so. The Prime Minister's father said calmly, my king can send an expert to guard the Jade Mountain and take the opportunity to capture Xiao Hua. Ing Hong was distressed and sighed. Prime Minister's father, the problem is that the imperial advisor is unable to kill Xiao Hua with the power of the 5 Qi Thunder, so I have no other methods to capture him. My bronze pillar country doesn't have it, but the hidden immortal continent does. The Prime Minister's father laughed. Even if the Confucian cultivators don't have it, there are still the Buddhist sect and the Dao sect. Moreover, Xiao Hua took my bronze pillar state's 5-dragon imperial jade seal. According to what this old minister knows, this 5-dragon imperial jade seal is not an ordinary imperial jade seal. It was passed down from ancient times. That Immortal Palace's emissary is afraid that because my king has this 5-dragon imperial jade seal, he left behind the secret method of using dragon qi. I understand. Ing Hong's eyes narrowed. The Jiang country is a country founded by Dao cultivators. He does not have the qualifications to use this 5-dragon jade seal. I only need to spread the news, even if I cannot take back the 5-dragon jade seal, that Xiao Hua will definitely be the enemy of all the Confucian cultivators in the hidden immortal continent. Yes, that's the second reason. The Prime Minister's father nodded. Moreover, according to what I know, there's a rule when Daoist sects establish a country. One must participate in the Yaodai Assembly, pass a competition, and win the so-called Imperial Preceptor's lot. Only then can one have the opportunity to establish a country. This was also one of the methods that the Confucian cultivators used to control the Daoist sect. If Xiao Hua wants to help the Jiang country recover and become the imperial advisor of the Jiang country, he must participate in this Jade Pavilion meeting. Since he wants to participate, then wouldn't my king have an opportunity to take advantage of it? Prime Minister, this doesn't seem to be killing 3 birds with 1 stone, does it? Ing Hong said with a smile. It's more like a cunning rabbit having 3 burrows. Ha ha ha, who cares if it's killing 3 birds with 1 stone, or if it's a cunning rabbit with 3 burrows, or if it's a 3-pronged plan. We just need to get rid of Xiao Hua. Xiang Fu also laughed loudly. After the two of them finished laughing, the Prime Minister's father seemed to have thought of something. He rolled his eyes and said, that's right, my king. What other requests did the immortal emissary make? Oh, of course, if my king has any taboos, you don't have to tell me. I didn't say it before because I didn't want my father to worry. Now that it's come to this, why should I avoid it? Ing Hong said in a low voice. Huh. His father was stunned and blurted out. What does a mortal master want 100 nascent soul stage cultivators for? How could the nascent soul of a Dao sect cultivator be so easily obtained? Didn't Qin Haoyue of Jiang Country self-destruct his nascent soul? I don't know either. Ing Hong laughed bitterly. I have already sent people to find more than 10 nascent soul stage cultivators and imprison them in the front of the Jade Mountain. When the immortal emissary comes, they will be offered to the immortal emissary. However, after listening to my father's words, that immortal emissary, I'm afraid that he's trying to hide something. Forget it. No matter how the immortal emissary arranges it, we don't need to ask too much. We just need to do our own things and borrow the power of the immortal emissary to do our own things. His father didn't seem to understand either, so he urged, "My king, hurry up and make the arrangements." In addition, my king still has to prepare his troops and horses to attack the Jiming nation and the Yifeng nation, so as not to attract the attention of the immortal emissary. Yes, I know, Ing Hong said in high spirits. Just as he was about to raise his head to summon the palace guards, he suddenly laughed. Oh, right, I still have a plan. Oh, I'm all ears. His father asked curiously. Father, perhaps you still remember the underground elemental stone mine in the Black Cloud Ridge? Ing Hong laughed. Dao sect Xiaohua broke the 5 brocade cloud map, and the entire Black Cloud Ridge fell into his hands. That Black Wind King, Golden Eagle King, and Myriad Lion King are probably not his match, and the underground elemental stone mine will definitely be discovered by him. Jiang Country is gone, and my Bronze Pillar Country has lost this battle. I'm afraid that I can't leave any soldiers there to mine. If my Bronze Pillar Country retreats, Jasa Country will definitely take down the entire elemental stone mine. When I spread the news that the elemental stone mine is ownerless, not to mention others, the other cultivators of the Dao sect will definitely swarm over. At that time, haha, that's right. My king's plan is brilliant. His father laughed out loud again, stroking his beard and saying, the Dao sect is the best at internal strife, and furthermore, there is an elemental stone mine there. Even if Xiaohua doesn't die in the hands of my Confucian cultivator, he will still be skinned by the Dao sect cultivators. Palace guards. Ing Hong smiled, regaining his previous calmness. He walked to the jade steps and sat behind the dragon table, ordering, bring all the officials back to the imperial palace. Of course, Xiaohua did not know that the undercurrent had already reached his feet. He was once again dragged into the vortex of the battle between the immortals and Buddhas. He only urged the other primordial spirits to cultivate with all their might, to heal the injuries of his body. Unknowingly, more than 100 days had passed. Xiaohua was living a carefree life. On this day, he was reciting the Yellow Court. Suddenly, his heart stirred. He put down the scroll, raised his head, and frowned as he looked outside the 5 brocade cloud map. After staring for a moment, Xiaohua sighed again and muttered to himself, "Sigh, people go into seclusion for years, decades. Why is I so bitter? But it's just been 100 days, and there's some karma. It's really troublesome." Immediately, Xiaohua was about to get up, but looking at the 5 cheese thunder in the 5 brocade cloud map, and sensing that the nascent soul in his lower dantian was struck by the thunder, Xiaohua was really reluctant. After thinking for a moment, he first put away Little Thunder, and then his mind fell into his middle dantian. At this time, Confucian cultivator Xiaohua was wearing Confucian clothes. Seeing Jade Archive Xiaohua come in, he cupped his hands and said, "Student greets fellow immortal. PSK, you've only learned Confucian cultivation methods for a few days, and you're actually so rotten?" Jade Archive Xiaohua waved his hand, saying very disapprovingly, "You and I are Taoist cultivators. It's better to call me fellow immortal." Confucian cultivator Xiaohua smacked his lips and said, "Fellow immortal is wrong. That was then and this is now. Previously, student was ignorant and cultivated the 5 cheese unification according to Taoist cultivation methods. How could I have known that the cultivation method was incongruous?" This Jade Archive Xiaohua's face was slightly hot. Confucian cultivator Xiaohua was actually talking about himself. Confucian cultivator Xiaohua ignored Jade Archive Xiaohua's embarrassment and continued. "I remember that when fellow immortal saw legalism's sword intent that day, you once mocked Huan Country's sword cultivators for their nondescript cultivation of flying swords. But when you think about students' previous cultivation, wasn't it also the same? The pot calling the kettle black is nothing more than this." That's a problem with the cultivation method. Jade Archive Xiao Hua was somewhat unconvinced and said with a smile, now that we've obtained the Heavenly Heart and Heavenly Book and know the cultivation method of the 5 Qis unification, we're already on the right track. A so-called title doesn't count for anything, right? The path of Confucian cultivators is to be scrupulous, to the point of no compromise. Even if it's the path of the mean, it must also be neither deviated nor slanted. Confucian cultivator Xiao Hua shook his head and said, fellow immortal, don't you see that today's Confucian cultivators are all pursuing power, falling into the Taoist cultivation method, to the extent that they're neither Confucian nor Taoist, and instead have cast the essence of Confucian cultivators to the back of their minds. Now that student has entered Confucianism, I should follow its method and keep its form. Only in this way can I truly learn the essence of the 5 Qis unification. Good. Jade Archive Xiao Hua clapped his hands and said with a smile, fellow immortal, you're right. I'm very fortunate. I'm afraid fellow immortal's body has also changed now. Correct. A bit of true qi rises in the chest. The myriad of sword intents disappears from the body. The 5 Qis unification clouds appear, and the 3 flowers converge crown gives birth to immortality. Confucian cultivator Xiao Hua nodded, and his body flashed with true qi of 5 colors. The sword shape of the core of loyalty from before was already in a state of collapse, and a small 5-colored dot faintly appeared where the core of loyalty was originally. Congratulations, fellow immortal, congratulations. Jade Archive Xiao Hua cupped his hands and said with a smile. Confucian cultivator Xiao Hua returned the salute. Congratulations, congratulations. Although we're both fellow immortal, we're also one body. Does fellow immortal have something to do? Hee, I naturally have something to do. Could it be fellow immortal doesn't know? Jade Archive Xiao Hua smiled and pointed outside. Confucian cultivator Xiao Hua nodded. Fellow immortal's idea is somewhat unimaginable, but it's worth a try. If it succeeds, both student and fellow immortal will benefit greatly, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Then I'll have to trouble fellow immortal. Jade Archive Xiao Hua turned around and left the middle dantian. Not long after, he returned, holding the 5 brocade cloud painting and the 5 silk handkerchiefs in his hand. Confucian cultivator Xiao Hua didn't stand on ceremony. He took the 5 brocade cloud painting and spat out true qi from his mouth. The 5 brocade cloud painting slowly rotated in the middle dantian and separately landed in 5 different places of the middle dantian. At the same time, the originally rich true qi in the middle dantian was slowly repelled by the 5 brocade cloud painting outside the Great Formation. Good. Jade Archive Xiao Hua saw this and immediately beamed with joy. Although he already knew from the auction at Zhai Xinglu that Confucian cultivators cultivated righteous qi, which was fundamentally different from the spiritual qi of heaven and earth cultivated by Taoists, the true qi in his middle dantian was formed from spiritual qi of heaven and earth, and there was simply no way to convert it. His previous idea was to use his current true qi as a foundation and slowly think of other methods based on comprehending the 5 Qis origin cultivation method. But now he saw that the 5 brocade cloud painting formation could actually be arranged in the middle dantian. The righteous qi in the void was produced according to the righteous qi's refinement method, so naturally it could be converted into righteous qi. This true qi was the purest true qi of a Confucian cultivator. -12. Chapter 35-31. Seeing that the 5 brocade cloud painting formation in his middle dantian had been completed, an awe-inspiring qi immediately came out of Xiao Hua's body and rushed into his middle dantian. The previous qi also went through the 5 brocade cloud painting formation and went back into the formation. Good. Jade Archive Xiao Hua clapped his hands again. This way, I don't have to read the scrolls to distinguish the awe-inspiring qi. Fellow immortal is wrong again. Confucian cultivator Xiao Hua was about to take out the silk handkerchief in his hand, but after hearing Jade Archive Xiao Hua's words, he stopped and shook his head. The awe-inspiring qi can't be compared to the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth is the spirit of heaven and earth, the origin of heaven and earth. This awe-inspiring qi reveals the human heart and humanity. If fellow immortal doesn't read the scrolls, This awe-inspiring qi is dead. How can a pool of stagnant water be more useful than a clear spring? The scrolls of ancient scrolls are like small streams, pushing through the old to bring forth the new. Flowing water is nothing more than this. Yes, I understand. Jade Archive Xiaohua was convinced. The path of Confucian cultivator was not so simple. He had just touched the door of the five qis unification. He really didn't know what was behind this door. Confucian cultivator Xiaohua raised his hand again, and the five silk handkerchiefs fell into the formation. Immediately after, the immortal execution stage appeared. Confucian cultivator Xiaohua landed on the immortal execution stage and waved his hand. A thunderbolt appeared out of thin air and fell on the immortal execution stage. When the five qis righteous thunder fell from the immortal execution stage, it passed through Xiaohua's body and fell into the nascent soul in his lower dantian. Seeing the awe-inspiring qi of the five brocade cloud painting formation rushing into his body, Confucian cultivator Xiaohua was very satisfied. He smiled and said, "Fellow immortal is right. Now, I have to review my homework. I won't see you off." Finished speaking, Confucian cultivator Xiaohua no longer paid attention to Jade Archive Xiaohua. He let the five-colored heavenly heart sit cross-legged on his head and took out a scroll. He shook his head and began to read. Ha! Jade Archive Xiaohua came out of his middle dantian with a laugh. He looked around and waved his hand, taking the heavenly star formation jade talisman into his hand. Now, the 10 primordial spirits were all cultivating. Instead, Xiaohua himself had nothing to do. Perhaps I should find some time to visit Lu Zhan. When Xiaohua had this thought, he couldn't help but feel homesick. Green-robed Xiaohua could be considered diligent. He had already taken the time to look at the map of the hidden, immortal continent. Xiaohua knew that there were at least several hundred Lu towns. If Xiaohua wanted to see all of these places one by one, it would take him at least 8 to 10 years. Forget it, we'll talk about it later. Xiaohua slowly walked out of the quiet room. He saw Lu Yi sitting cross-legged in front of him, seemingly cultivating. Wang Bianfei was holding a horsetail whisk in his hand, guarding it. Seeing Xiaohua come out, joy appeared on his face. He hurriedly went forward and bowed in greeting. "Master has come out of seclusion." Xiaohua smiled and asked, "Louis is bitterly cultivating. Why aren't you cultivating? Although you've become a junior brother, you can't be lazy." He, how would this disciple dare? Wang Bianfei knew that Xiaohua was joking, so he hurriedly replied, "Disciple and senior brother agreed that when one of us cultivates, the other will be on duty. Today is senior brother's turn to cultivate, so disciple will be on duty." That's right. Xiaohua smiled. "You brothers being harmonious is exactly what this old man likes. You have to know, now that you've already stepped into the ranks of cultivators, the years in the future will be long. Your lifespan will be endless, and your cultivation will have no end. But a person's feelings may have an end." "Yes, disciple understands." Wang Bianfei smiled and said, "Senior brother is very good to disciple, and disciple's relationship with senior brother is also not bad. Elder, listen to what disciple is saying now." "Io, that's right. If you didn't say it, this old man wouldn't have been able to tell." Xiaohua smiled. That's right. Wang Bianfei had always been speaking the language of hidden immortal continent, and Xiaohua couldn't tell at once. "This is all thanks to senior brother." Wang Bianfei smiled as he looked at Lu Yi in the distance. Xiaohua nodded. He was really satisfied with the two of them. Then, he thought of something and asked, "That's right. Where's your mother? How is she now?" "Oh, disciple's mother has a residence outside the cave, and senior brother Qin personally asked about it. It's not good for her to change her language for the time being, so disciple can only slowly teach her." Happiness appeared on Wang Bianfei's face again. "Senior brother Qin? Oh, it's Qin Xiaoyao." Xiaohua smiled and said, "He did a good job. In the future, when you enter my sect, you have to treat people who are kind to you well." Disciple understands. Wang Bianfei nodded his head like a chicken pecking rice. Wang Bianfei was exceptionally intelligent, even more so than Lu Yi. However, his knowledge was lacking, and he wasn't as flexible as Lu Yi. However, what he heard and saw in these 100 days already let him know that he might have already arrived at an unfamiliar place. However, he didn't reveal a single word about where he came from and didn't even ask about it. Louis also didn't ask a single word because they knew that when the time came for them to know, Xiaohua would definitely let them know. That's right, master. Seeing Xiaohua sitting on the seat of honor, Wang Bianfei thought of another matter and hurriedly said in a low voice, "Disciple still has something to report to master." "Oh? Speak. Did you encounter any problems in your cultivation?" Xiaohua asked curiously. Disciple. Wang Bianfei was actually a bit hesitant. Disciple knows that master is a Dao cultivator, and disciple also cultivates Dao magic. However, a few days ago, Copper Pillar Academy sent a lot of scrolls, and among them, some are about painting, disciple. Ha ha ha, this old man understands. Xiaohua laughed. Didn't this old man say before? Whether it's Confucianism, Dao, or even Buddhism, as long as you want to cultivate, this old man will agree. At the same time, this old man can also give you pointers. Thank you, master. Wang Bianfei was really beaming with joy. After all, Confucianism and Dao cultivators had different cultivation methods. These days, Wang Bianfei also learned a lot from Louis, and he was really afraid that Xiaohua wouldn't agree. However, Xiaohua frowned again. Bianfei, you have to think clearly. Whether it's Confucianism or Dao, you have to focus on one thing. And if you do two things at once, I'm afraid it's not good. If you can't do both, you might as well focus on one thing. Hee master. Don't forget how you took me in as a disciple. Wang Bianfei listened and said with a smile, Senior, don't look at how senior brother and disciple cultivate together. It seems that we cultivate at the same time, but disciple has taken advantage of it. Ah, Xiaohua suddenly realized and said curiously, could it be that you? At this point, Xiaohua didn't say anything else. Wang Bianfei also said with a smile, Master is right. Disciple does have this talent. Ha, good. Xiaohua looked at Louis, who was cultivating with his eyes closed. This Louis was born with a unique talent. In the future, Xiaohua would be able to teach him the Buddhist sect's secret technique. This Wang Bianfei in front of him was actually able to cultivate in his dream. His 1 day of cultivation was equivalent to 2 days of other people. Furthermore, his divine sense could even surpass other people. These 2 in-name disciples of his were not bad. You should first cultivate Dao's Qi refinement technique and then paint. When the time is ripe, this old man will teach you Confucianism's cultivation method. Xiaohua said with a smile. Thank you, master. Wang Bianfei was naturally happy. Right. How is Yuanya recently? Since Xiaohua returned to Black Wind Ridge, he first fought with Lung Qinga and the others, and then went into seclusion. So he didn't have the chance to ask Yuanya. Brother Ya. Wang Bianfei was stunned, scratched his head, and said embarrassedly, Disciple has been guarding the cave and hasn't seen Brother Ya and the others much. It seems that Brother Ya is always with Senior Brother Qin and the others. Xiaohua nodded. Wang Bianfei had only been in Black Wind Ridge for 100 days, and it was already good that he could solve the language problem. If he asked too much, he probably wouldn't know. Xiaohua thought for a moment and said, Let the head of Copper Pillar Academy in. Wang Bianfei stared blankly for a moment, then a look of reverence appeared on his face. This was what he originally wanted to report. That handsome Do Shanjun had already asked to see Xiaohua 3 times. Today, after he came, he even waited outside the cave. It seemed like he was determined to wait for Xiaohua to come out of seclusion. After waiting for Wang Bianfei to leave, Do Shanjun came in not long after. Do Shanjun stood in front of Xiaohua, looked him up and down and bowed. Disciple greets Daoist Xiao. No need to be polite. Xiaohua raised his hand and said, You and I are old friends. As the saying goes, no discord, no concord. Daoist Xiao is too polite. Do Shanjun slightly smiled, and his not-so-small eyes flashed with a layer of indescribable charm. Head, what business do you have here today? Xiaohua asked straightforwardly. I heard that you have come 3 times in a row. Do Shanjun said, Disciple has come under the orders of the head of Copper Pillar Academy to deliver a copy of the books in my library. Today is already the 3rd time, and there are a total of 1,126,403 books. Daoist Xiao, please accept them. Do Shanjun took out a scroll from his bosom and handed it to Xiaohua. Oh? Xiaohua frowned, took the scroll, and opened it to take a look. Inside was the number of the 1,000,000 books, and it was clearly written. He couldn't help but be surprised. Why didn't you use your jade eyes? Oh, could it be that this collection of books are all books? Correct. It is indeed 1,000,000 books. Doshan Jun said proudly. If not, how could disciple come 3 times? If I use my jade eyes to record the books in my library, I can only know the meaning. How can I see the form and obtain the essence? Taoist Xiao admittedly has my Confucian cultivation, but I'm afraid that these... Oh, then many thanks to the head of North Gore Academy. Xiao Hua only understood at this moment, and said with a solemn face, this gift is very heavy. Head of Copper Pillar, please tell the head of North Gore Academy that I will definitely agree to whatever he says. Good. Doshan Jun's heart finally settled. In Taoist Zhao's eyes, there is no difference between Confucian and Taoist Xiao. Disciple thanks Taoist Xiao on behalf of Confucian. No need to be polite. Seeing that Doshan Jun had no intention of getting up, Xiao Hua was somewhat puzzled and asked again, Head of Copper Pillar, is there anything else? Indeed. Doshan Jun nodded, looked at Wang Bianfei and Lu Yi and said, Disciple has an extremely important matter to ask Taoist Xiao. Just say it here. They are all my disciples. Xiao Hua said with a smile. -12. Chapter 35-32. Haha. Doshan Jun laughed and said, These two are really lucky to be able to become Taoist Zhao's disciple. However, although Taoist Xiao doesn't avoid these two, he still has to consider them. There are some things they can know, and some things they shouldn't know. Xiao Hua frowned, got up and said, All right, come with me. After saying that, Xiao Hua led the way to the quiet room. Doshan Jun naturally followed Xiao Hua. After Xiao Hua sat cross-legged on the praying mat, Xiao Hua smiled and said to Doshan Jun, Minister, my quiet room can be said to be simple and crude. There's nothing to entertain guests, so I'll have to trouble you to stand. Doshan Jun didn't care about Xiao Hua's embarrassment at all. He only looked up and said with a smile, Taoist Zhao's cave is really simple and crude. How come there's not even a spirit field or a pill room? Xiao Hua smiled faintly and waved his hand. This old man was just speaking up to hear. Xiao Hua was stunned. He raised his eyebrows and sneered, Doshan Jun, you actually dared to spy on my cave? Yes, with Xiao Hua's current cultivation, even if Doshan Jun used a Confucian cultivator's magical ability to check him, he would definitely know. Moreover, although his quiet room wasn't protected by the capital star formation, it was still protected by a formation. How could Doshan Jun see through it? Doshan Jun's words were obviously trying to tell him something. Haha, it's not spying. I just casually took a look. Doshan Jun looked at Xiao Hua and casually sat opposite him. His tone seemed to be casually. Xiao Hua said coldly, Fellow Taoist Do is really interested. You're so interested in my cave. You actually casually took a look and saw so much. What a magnanimous Confucian cultivator. Doshan Jun shrugged and said helplessly, Taoist Xiao is cultivating in seclusion. I have something to ask, but I can't find it. Naturally, I'll casually take a look to see if the master is avoiding me. This is human nature. It has nothing to do with Confucian cultivators, right? Xiao Hua sighed and shook his head. Fellow Taoist Do, what exactly do you want? This place is already quiet. Feel free to say it. Spiritual Master, please set up the capital star array. I'm afraid that the words I'm about to say will be overheard by others. Doshan Jun said with a smile. Is it that serious? Xiao Hua's heart stirred as he asked curiously. Doshan Jun nodded. Not bad, however. Without waiting for him to finish, Xiao Hua was shocked again and cried out, What? You actually know about the capital star array? Student not only knows about the capital star formation, but also knows that Reverend's capital star formation has some flaws. Otherwise, it wouldn't have collapsed under the attack of the 5 brocade cloud painting. Doshan Jun's words shocked Xiao Hua even more. After some thought, Xiao Hua waved his hand and laid down the capital heaven star formation. Then, he went straight to the point. Doshan Jun, speak. What do you want? Unexpectedly, Doshan Jun didn't answer. Instead, he asked with interest, Oh? Taoist Master Xiao is really amazing. He actually has the Du Tian Star Formation Jade Talisman. Did Taoist Master Xiao refine it himself? Or did you get it from somewhere else? Xiao Hua became impatient and waved his hand. This is my personal matter. It has nothing to do with fellow immortals' visit, right? Of course it has something to do with it, Do Shanjun said with a smile. If this jade talisman was refined by Taoist Master Xiao, I can tell Taoist Master Xiao how to refine it. If this capital heaven star formation was obtained by Taoist Master Xiao, I can help Taoist Master Xiao to complete this capital heaven star formation. What? Xiao Hua almost jumped up and said in surprise, Do Shanjun, you? Who are you? At this point, how could Xiao Hua not know that Do Shanjun was definitely not a simple Confucian cultivator? Taoist Master Xiao, don't worry. I am the Dean of the Copper Pillar Academy. There is no doubt about this, Do Shanjun said with a smile. Now and in the future. Xiao Hua's face was somewhat gloomy. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Do Shanjun, whose face was still incomparably handsome. Moreover, Do Shanjun said again, I will definitely not interfere with Taoist Master Zhao's matters of establishing a country, revenge, and so on. I will only be the Dean of the Copper Pillar Academy. I will not overstep my duty. All right, since fellow immortal has spoken so clearly, there's no need to hide anymore. Let's see the door and see the mountain. This Xiao doesn't know what this Xiao has that Confucian cultivators can covet. Xiao Hua nodded. Do Shanjun stretched out his finger and shook it in the air. He said with a smile, You naturally didn't have it before, but now, you have it. 5 brocade cloud painting. Xiao Hua's eyes narrowed as he looked at Do Shanjun. Fellow immortal Do's appetite is not small. Taoist Master Xiao is wrong, Do Shanjun said with a smile. I have already seen the 5 brocade cloud painting before. Why should I look for Taoist Master Xiao now? Oh? What is it? Xiao Hua was startled. His mind raced. He had obtained a lot of things from Longqinga and the others. He really did not know what Do Shanjun wanted. Suddenly, his heart lit up, and he laughed. So fellow immortal Do has taken a fancy to the 5-dragon Imperial Jade Seal? Indeed, the 5-dragon Imperial Jade Seal was an item that could suppress one's luck, and was extremely important to Confucian cultivators. This Do Shanjun must have been entrusted by the king of the Copper Pillar country, right? Unfortunately, Do Shanjun still shook his head. I have already said that I am not interested in the matters of Jiang country and Copper Pillar country. What I want is the 5-chi thunder. 5-chi thunder? Xiao Hua was truly surprised. He looked at Do Shanjun in disbelief. What do you want that for? I'm sorry, I have no comment. Do Shanjun shook his head in fear. If Taoist Master Xiao knows about this, it would be harmful. I'm sorry, I have a use for the 5-chi thunder. I'm afraid I can't give it to fellow immortal Do. Xiao Hua shook his head and replied. This time, it was Do Shanjun's turn to be shocked. He looked at Xiao Hua from head to toe and asked, What is it? Taoist Master Xiao, how did you discover the effects of the 5-chi thunder on the nascent soul stage in such a short period of time? Speaking to hear, Do Shanjun rubbed his chin with his hand and nodded with interest. Not bad, to be able to cultivate your nascent soul into a hidden nascent soul, and to be able to condense your nascent soul into a nebula. Your luck is not just a little bit better than others. Furthermore, to dare to release your nascent soul from the 5 brocade cloud map, your guts are enough for you to discover the secrets within. Do Shanjun, who exactly are you? Xiao Hua could no longer sit still. He jumped up and placed his hand on the small universe bag and asked cautiously. Sit down, sit down. You're already a nascent soul stage grandmaster, and your strength is comparable to a spirit-severing stage cultivator. Why are you still so rough? Do Shanjun raised his hand and laughed, as if he was talking to a junior. You don't have to care who I am. You just have to know that I won't hurt you. Do Shanjun was so fearless, and even sat here to negotiate with him. At least his attitude made Xiao Hua feel amiable. If he really did have any ill intentions, why would Do Shanjun wait until now? Thinking to hear, Xiao Hua sat down and said, I have a use for this item. I can't give it to fellow immortal Do. All right, this item indeed has an inconceivable effect on condensing a nascent soul. Do Shanjun pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, Then I won't take it from you. However, Could Taoist Master Xiao let me take a look at it? This. Xiao Hua was somewhat hesitant. After all, this item was extremely important to him, and Do Shanjun was an enemy, not a friend. Who knew what he would do if he gave it to him? Do Shanjun's face turned cold, his expression somewhat unkind, and said indifferently, Xiao Hua, you don't trust Ren so much? If I had a heart, why would I be so long-winded with you? As soon as Do Shanjun said this, Xiao Hua's quiet room suddenly became as cold as winter. A kind of indescribable fear emerged in Xiao Hua's heart. This was a kind of omen that Xiao Hua couldn't resist against danger. Xiao Hua was startled, then said with a smile, Fellow immortal Do, you think too much. I was just thinking. This 5-chi legitimate thunder is so important. Even the Beigua Academy didn't let fellow immortal Do know about it. Now I can't let fellow immortal Do see it for nothing, right? Ha ha ha. Do Shanjun laughed, thinking about how Xiao Hua blackmailed by Hou Yuqin and the others on the Black Wind Ridge, and how he mercilessly took away Lung Chinga's Chinkuan bag. How could Do Shanjun not know that Xiao Hua wanted to obtain benefits from him? While laughing, the coldness in the quiet room disappeared. Do you want the duty on star formation, or the method to refine jade talismans? Since Do Shanjun knew about Xiao Hua's narrow-mindedness, he didn't beat around the bush and directly asked. Hee. Xiao Hua beamed with joy, patted his small Chinkuan bag, and took out the 5 silk handkerchiefs from his middle dantian, then said, Fellow immortal Do should take a look at this 5-chi legitimate thunder first. What star formation? What jade talisman? It's easy to talk about. Hee. How could Do Shanjun not see through Xiao Hua's little scheme? He only glanced at Xiao Hua's smiling face, then took the silk handkerchiefs. Do Shanjun didn't hide from Xiao Hua. A clear light slowly flashed in his eyes, and in an instant, a pure white appeared in his eyes. That pure white was extremely fast, and it didn't take long for it to diffuse into his pitch-black eyes. At first glance, Do Shanjun's eyes looked like a black and white grid. Tiny runes appeared on this black and white grid, and the runes were like ants rushing out, filling Do Shanjun's eyes. See, Dao Sect runes. Xiao Hua sucked in a breath of cold air, and a kind of unimaginable feeling appeared in his heart. He stared at Do Shanjun without blinking, knowing that Do Shanjun was using a Dao Sect divine ability that he didn't know about to probe these 5 silk handkerchiefs. As the runes in Do Shanjun's eyes changed, a kind of indescribable aura gradually emitted from Do Shanjun's body. Although this aura only leaked out a trace, it was enough to shock Xiao Hua once again. Strange, Do Shanjun didn't seem to notice Xiao Hua's gaze. He muttered, raised his hand, raised his index and middle finger, and pointed at his own forehead. Bang! A strange silver rune exploded in Do Shanjun's forehead, then disappeared in a flash. Looking at Do Shanjun's eyes again, those runes suddenly flashed with 5 colors, extremely bright. -12. Chapter 35-33. Whoosh! The 5-colored brilliance was extremely dazzling. Xiao Hua's vision blurred, and he couldn't see Do Shanjun's appearance clearly. When Xiao Hua closed his eyes and opened them again, the brilliance in Do Shanjun's eyes gradually dissipated, revealing the black and white starry eyes from before. Obviously, Do Shanjun's eyes carried a hint of disappointment. Do Shanjun didn't intend to hide it from Xiao Hua. What? Xiao Hua frowned. This thing isn't the real 5-chi thunder? Yes. Do Shanjun nodded. This is a fake. However, it's not beyond my expectations. The Immortal Palace wouldn't give the real 5 brocade cloud painting and 5-chi thunder to Tong Zhuguo. Huh? The Immortal Palace? Xiao Hua was shocked. What does this have to do with the Immortal Palace? How would I know? Do Shanjun waved his hand and threw 5 silk handkerchiefs to Xiao Hua. Although this thing is a fake, it seems like it was refined by the great artificer of the Immortal Palace. It's still useful for you. Yes. Xiao Hua was somewhat disappointed, but he still hurriedly took the 5 silk handkerchiefs. Tell me, which one do you want? After a moment, Do Shanjun's expression returned to normal. He said indifferently, I won't look at your things for free. Don't. Xiao Hua smiled and waved his hand. Fellow Immortal Do didn't take it away. You just want to look at it. Why? If you don't want it, then I'm leaving. Do Shanjun's expression was calm as he pretended to get up. Don't. Xiaohua still said the word don't, but the meaning was completely different. Fellow immortal Do, let me think for a moment. Yes, the time it takes to brew a cup of tea. Do Shanjun frowned and ignored Xiaohua. He looked at the ground as if he was thinking about something. This matter was very important. Xiaohua rolled his eyes and smiled. I won't hide it from fellow immortal Do Tian. The Do Tian star array was refined by me. Naturally, I don't need this array diagram. Okay, then I'll give you the refining method of the jade talisman, Do Shanjun said. But just as he reached his hand into his pocket, Xiaohua hurriedly said, the refining method of the jade talisman? You don't need to be in such a hurry. Oh? What do you want? Do Shanjun raised his eyebrows and sneered, don't be too greedy. Fellow immortal Do, look, this Xiao doesn't want it anymore, but you insist on giving it to me. This Xiao doesn't care about those two things of yours. Xiaohua said with a bitter smile. Do Shanjun snorted and said, tell me, what do you want? I want a cultivation technique. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and said greedily, from nascent soul to spirit severing, and even Mahayana to tribulation transcendence cultivation techniques. See, Do Shanjun sucked in a breath of cold air, his face turning cold. Xiaohua felt that his entire body was unable to move, and the quiet room's surroundings were once again filled with ice like before. How did you find out? Do Shanjun asked coldly, his eyes filled with confusion. Not to mention Do Shanjun not explaining, Xiaohua was also shocked. He really didn't know how he provoked Do Shanjun. Hearing Do Shanjun's question, Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry and replied, Immortal friend Do, what did I find? What secrets do you have that you're afraid I'll discover? I just don't have a spirit-severing cultivation technique. I just want to ask if you have one or not. If you don't have it, you don't have to do this, right? Oh, Do Shanjun's expression slightly relaxed. After pondering for a bit, the surrounding coldness disappeared, but Xiaohua still couldn't move. Damn it, what kind of monster is this guy? Xiaohua was even more puzzled by Do Shanjun in front of him. With this kind of strength, I'm afraid he's at the 7th or 8th level of elemental energy. Do Shanjun stared at Xiaohua for a long time. Seeing that Xiaohua's gaze was pure and didn't seem to be fake, he slightly nodded and said, Taoist Master Xiao, you are really greedy, ah? Hee, there are really too few high-level cultivation techniques in hidden immortal continent. I want to grab all the opportunities one can. Xiaohua laughed, looking very calm. Grab all the opportunities you can? Do Shanjun's eyes seemed to light up. He slightly nodded. You're right. I was too careful before. Of course, in hidden immortal continent, there are still too few cultivators like you who can suppress an entire country, and whose strength can also reach the 5th level of elemental energy. Xiaohua stared blankly. He somewhat didn't understand what Do Shanjun said. He didn't even know what he said wrong. Seeing Xiaohua in a daze, Do Shanjun slightly smiled. He took out a jade eye scroll and handed it to Xiaohua. Oh, this is the cultivation technique you want. But I only have cultivation techniques before the Mahayana stage. I don't have anything else. Ah? Xiaohua was really overjoyed. He stretched out his hand and wanted to grab it faster than lightning. Unfortunately, Do Shanjun was still a bit faster than him. He withdrew his hand and laughed. Taoist Master Xiao, don't be anxious. I still have something to say. Hee. Xiaohua's face was a bit hot. He laughed embarrassedly and said, Isn't Taoist Do making fun of me? You already said you want to give it to me. It's not that I don't want to give it. It's that I want to discuss a cooperation with Taoist Master Xiao. Do Shanjun's expression became indifferent again. He said, I wonder if Taoist Master Xiao is willing? I'm not willing. Xiaohua decisively shook his head and replied, Why? Why didn't Taoist Master listen to what the matter is and immediately refused? Do Shanjun felt very strange. Xiaohua sighed and said, Counting with my fingers, I have already cooperated with more than one Taoist master, it seems. Every time we cooperate, strange things will happen. There has never been a single time that went smoothly. Therefore, I still have lingering fears about these cooperation. Hee. So that's how it is. Do Shanjun's smile was very strange. It seemed like he was smiling insincerely. That's not strange. If he was confident, Why would he look for another helper? Since you want to be his helper, if you want to get benefits, you naturally have to help him deal with those accidents. But the problem is, I don't want to get these benefits. Xiao Hua was very distressed. The bitter smile on his face became even stronger. Humph. You don't want? If you don't want to get benefits, then why are you asking me for a cultivation technique? Do Shanjun smiled coldly. Moreover, I saw your fight with Lung Qingge. Although your strength is at the 5th grade of essence energy, in reality, you can only display an upper 4th grade of essence energy. Your magic power is very vigorous, but unfortunately, you can't use your techniques. You can only display 70% of your magic power. Also, your magic treasure is also not good. It can't match your magic power. Oh, also, your divine sense was refined with a secret technique, but you don't know how to use it at all. That shapeless 5 elements wishful heaven cudgel of yours was also forged incorrectly. Lung Qingge and the others are indeed much worse than you. They were also frightened by your magic power. Otherwise, see, Xiao Hua sucked in a breath of cold air again. These were all secrets that he was well aware of. He didn't expect that Do Shanjun would see them all. Xiao Hua couldn't help but ask, "You? Who are you exactly?" "I am a Confucian cultivator. You don't need to think too much," Do Shanjun said indifferently. "You only need to know that if you cooperate with me, not only can you obtain a cultivation technique, you can also make up for these flaws." Hee. Xiaohua was really hesitating. This temptation was too great. "You should think about it." Do Shanjun raised his hand, and the jade eye fell into Xiaohua's hand. He lowered his head and looked at the ground. His brows slightly wrinkled as if he was thinking about something. Xiaohua took the jade eye and scanned it with his divine sense. He couldn't help but be shocked. This jade eye wasn't ordinary. It was the ink cloud pupil. After Xiaohua briefly read through the contents, his heart couldn't help but beat wildly. There was indeed a cultivation method inside, and it was something that could be cultivated from the Yuanying stage. The chant was obscure and looked very difficult to understand, but Xiaohua knew that what was inside was true based on what he had comprehended. Damn, this Do Shanjun. I'm afraid he's not a simple Confucian cultivator. Could he be a descendant of a first-class family? Xiaohua put away the ink cloud pupil and thought to himself, his identity is probably not easy to investigate, but he's looking for me. For what? The authentic 5 Chi Thunder? If that's really the case, he might have gotten benefits, but I might also get benefits from the 5 Chi Thunder. Forget it. I should ask first. Thinking of this, Do Shanjun raised his head and asked indifferently, "Taoist Master Xiao, have you thought it through?" "Of course." Xiaohua said with a smile, "People die for wealth and birds die for food. Cultivators have always lost their lives. In order to live forever, I'm going all out. However, Taoisto, can you tell me a thing or two first, so that I can think about it a little more?" "Impossible." Do Shanjun sneered. "I've always been a lone wolf. Today, after hearing what you said and seeing that your cultivation is not bad, I'm thinking of cooperating for the first time. As for what it is, you don't need to know now. You just need to do your best to cultivate, and when the time comes, as long as you have enough strength, I'll naturally look for you. Then, you have to tell me what the benefits are, right? How about what Taoist Master Do said earlier?" Xiaohua squinted his eyes and asked with a smile, "Taoist Master Xiao, you have to change this greed of yours. Otherwise, I'm afraid it will bring a lot of trouble to your cultivation in the future." Do Shanjun replied with a smile. "Then I'll pick one. Anyone. Taoist Master Do can satisfy me?" Xiaohua probed. Do Shanjun said impatiently, "Of course I can. Hurry up and say it." The method of using divine sense. Xiaohua seemed to have already thought it through. As soon as Do Shanjun's voice fell, he immediately answered. Do Shanjun was obviously stunned and said curiously, "I thought you would want a magic treasure that is worthy of your magic power. Hee, I have a lot of magic treasures. I can slowly refine them, but this divine sense, it really makes me worried." Xiaohua replied with a smile. I have to praise you. Your choice is right. Now, where in the hidden immortal continent would there be a way to use divine sense? Do Shanjun nodded slightly. He clapped his hand and took out another ink eye. However, His finger moved again, and another ink eye appeared in his hand. He handed it to Xiao Hua and said, "This is the secret technique you want. In addition, I'll also give you the method of refining jade talismans. If you can complete the capital star array, it will also be good for me." -12. Chapter 35-34. Great. How could Xiao Hua, who liked to take advantage of others, not be happy when he saw such a big advantage? Then, he immediately kept Mo Yuntong in his space, and would never let these Mo Yuntong stand out again. Seeing that Xiao Hua had kept Mo Yuntong, Do Shanjun did not hesitate. He stood up and said, "I will be leaving. When I have the chance, I will look for you." Just. Is it that simple? Xiao Hua anxiously stood up and asked curiously, "Fellow immortal, aren't you going to leave a sound transmission talisman or something?" "There's no need. If I want to find you, there are plenty of ways." Do Shanjun waved his hand nonchalantly and said, "Remove the formation." "All right." Xiao Hua looked helpless. He felt that the three Mo Yuntong were a little hot. "Oh, right." Just as Xiao Hua was about to put away the capital star formation, Do Shanjun suddenly thought of something and anxiously said, "That day, you took the 5-dragon imperial jade seal from the Confucian cultivator. That thing is not something that can be used by a Taoist cultivator to establish a country. You should give it to me." "Why?" How could Xiao Hua, who even pulled out a strand of hair for half a day, easily agree? Do Shanjun snorted coldly and said, "This 5-dragon imperial jade seal was passed down by the Confucian cultivator in the ancient times, and was bestowed by the immortal palace. Whoever obtains it will be the true son of heaven recognized by the immortal palace. Furthermore, if you keep this 5-dragon imperial jade seal, what about the other Confucian cultivators, other countries, and those aristocratic families? Would they think so? Aren't you causing trouble for Jiang country? Do you want your Black Cloud Ridge to never have a peaceful day from now on?" Io, if fellow immortal did not say so, I would have taken this 5-dragon imperial jade seal as the imperial jade seal of Jiang country. Xiao Hua immediately understood and laughed. "I never thought that this 5-dragon imperial jade seal would actually be such a hot potato." "Humph, it's not just a hot potato. It's also the ambition of the king of the Copper Pillar country." Do Shanjun sneered. If Ing Hong did not obtain this item, how could he have the heart to destroy Jiang country and the thought of building an empire? That Jiang country is just the beginning. There will be Jiasa country and so on and so forth. Then, if I return this jade seal to the Copper Pillar country, wouldn't that mean that I will be helping the tyrant and even increase their strength? Wouldn't it be even more difficult for my country to recover? Xiao Hua was a little hesitant. Do Shanjun shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, "Do as you please. If I'm not mistaken, Ing Hong has already spread the news that the Imperial Jade Seal is in your hands. It wouldn't be long before Confucian cultivators or soldiers from other countries would come to rob them. How did you establish your country?" "Forget it. Forget it." Xiao Hua waved his hand and said, "I've obtained a great deal of benefits from fellow immortal today, so I'll give this Imperial Jade Seal to fellow immortal. Consider it as giving fellow immortal a great merit." After saying that, Xiao Hua reluctantly took out the 5-dragon Imperial Jade Seal from his meridians and gave it to Do Shanjun. This thing was able to draw out Xiao Hua's dragon vein, so there must be something fishy about it. Xiao Hua didn't discover this fishy thing, so he couldn't help but feel unhappy. Great merit? Not bad. Do Shanjun tilted his head as if he had thought of something. He smiled and said, "I didn't think about this before. It seems that I can do something with this thing." Fellow Taoisto, no matter what you do, it's better to spread the news that this item has already fallen into the Copper Pillar Academy. Xiao Hua anxiously shouted. Do Shanjun took the Imperial Jade Seal and impatiently waved his hand. "Do I need you to tell me that? How could I take advantage of you for nothing?" Seeing Do Shanjun keep the Imperial Jade Seal, Xiao Hua kept the capital star formation, and when he sent Do Shanjun out of the quiet room, Louis had already stood up and stood together with Wang Bianfei. Taoist Master Xiao has good eyes. These two are both people with good bones. Congratulations. Do Shanjun's face returned to its previous state. Although he was congratulating him, there was no smile on his face. How could that be? They are all poor children who were casually picked up by me. How can they compare to the elites of the Copper Pillar Academy? Xiao Hua smiled faintly and said, when you return to the academy, you can bring my gratitude to the Northern Guar Academy. It's really hard for him to collect so many books. Originally, there was no need to hide anything in front of Lu Yi and Wang Bianfei, but since Dou Shanjun wanted to hide it, Xiao Hua had to say some words to show that he would not reveal anything. Dou Shanjun was indeed very satisfied. He stopped and respectfully said, Taoist Master, please wait. I will definitely bring Taoist Master's good intentions back to the Copper Pillar Academy. The matter of war is a war between two countries. Cultivators of my generation should focus on cultivation and should not get involved in war. Good, Taoist Master Dou, please take care. Xiao Hua nodded and walked to the top of the cave residence. He sat down and looked at Dou Shanjun, who hurried out of the cave residence with an indifferent expression. He really didn't expect Dou Shanjun's cultivation to be so high. Moreover, from the divine ability he revealed, he was a Taoist senior. His cultivation had probably reached the Mahayana stage. However, he was somewhat confused. Why would such a powerful figure hide in the Copper Pillar Academy? In particular, this Taoist senior actually practiced the divine ability of Confucianism. Not only did he practice the wood essence, but he also practiced the Z. Is this senior hiding from something? Xiao Hua secretly thought, however, looking at his appearance today, he seems to be looking for something. Is it the 5 Qi Thunder? What does he want the authentic 5 Qi Thunder for? Thinking of this, Xiao Hua seemed to be enlightened. It was very obvious that the fake 5 Qi Thunder obtained by Long Qingge was extremely beneficial to Xiao Hua's Yuanying growth. Its effect even surpassed the scarlet heart fruit that Xiao Hua just obtained. Of course, it was not only more effective than the crimson heart fruit. Although Xiao Hua had obtained the crimson heart fruit, he did not have the method to refine it, so he did not dare to consume it directly. Even if he refined the crimson heart fruit into a medicinal pill, it would have an obvious effect when consumed in the early nascent soul stage. When consumed in the middle nascent soul stage, the medicinal pill's effect would certainly be greatly reduced. How could it have the long-term effect of the 5 Qi righteous thunder nourishing the nascent soul every day? Since Xiao Hua's Yuanying could benefit from this 5 Qi thunder, why couldn't Dou Shanjuan's Yuanying benefit from the 5 Qi thunder? This senior probably wants to find the authentic 5 Qi thunder to wait for a chance to enter Mahayana realm or undergo tribulation. Xiao Hua did not know if his thoughts were correct, but there was a trace of luck in his heart. Fortunately, this Xiao did not offend him too much that day, and this Xiao fought with him for the righteousness of the Taoist sect. Even if he was unhappy, he would not say anything. To be able to bestow the cultivation method today, he should have the intention of valuing me. Hee. I did not expect the hidden immortal continent to have such a powerful Taoist cultivator. This is really out of this Xiao's expectations. In that case, the other Taoist seniors should also be hiding in various places of the hidden immortal continent with various appearances. Right, there is also that senior who escaped from the Western Ci. He should be one of the best, right? While Xiao Hua was guessing, Wang Wanfei took 2 steps forward and said in a low voice, Old Master, hearing that Old Master has come out of seclusion, Xiao Jian, the Princess of Chongling, Black Bear, Qin Shishu and the others have all come to greet you. Ask them if there is anything important. Xiao Hua said with a smile. If there is nothing, let them return. Yes. Wang Wanfei responded. But a while later, he turned back with Qin Xiaoyao behind him. Old Master, Xiao Jian and the others do not have anything important. They just want to report on the progress of reviving the country. This one knows that Old Master is impatient with these things and sent them away. Wang Wanfei said respectfully, Black Bear and Qin Shishu have important matters to report. This one will bring Qin Shishu in first. Good, Xiao Hua nodded. Wait for the 2 at the door. After the 2 left, Xiao Hua said with a smile, Xiaoyao, what matter do you have? This disciple greets Old Master. I wish Old Master well. Qin Xiaoyao did not dare to slight and went forward to bow. Rise. Xiao Hua nodded. Qin Xiaoyao stood up and said, according to Old Master's previous arrangements, this disciple has 3 matters to report to Old Master today. Speak. Xiao Hua had the bearing of a master at this time and said, The first is about Old Master's instructions to the Fortune Gate. This disciple has taken 3 people with similar cultivation to this disciple into the Fortune Gate's outer sect. As this disciple's junior brothers, they are Jiang Ming, Qin Xingyi, and Jiang Haodong. These 3 junior brothers knew about Old Master's plan and were very happy. Moreover, our relationship is harmonious. Although our positions were different before, now that we are all junior brothers, we are very harmonious. The 46 disciples of Jiang country in the Black Wind Ridge were also taken in by this disciple and the other 3. There are 13 disciples under this disciple, and 11 disciples under the other junior brothers. They are considered second-generation disciples. These disciples have good and bad aptitudes. The specific situation depends on their luck in the future. There are a total of 671 Dao soldiers. Although Old Master said to pick some with good aptitudes, this disciple has checked some of the Dao soldiers. Their aptitudes are more or less the same. They are much better than the average disciple, but they are slightly worse than this disciple's disciples. If Old Master really wants to pick, he should be able to pick some that are similar to the second-generation disciples. However, this disciple feels that our Fortune Gate has just been established and does not have many disciples. Moreover, if we choose some and not others, it will easily make the selected disciples arrogant, and those who are not selected feel disappointed. Therefore, this disciple simply took them into the Fortune Gate's outer sect, allowing them to worship the second-generation disciples separately. They are considered third-generation disciples. These Dao soldiers are usually trained by these disciples. When they heard that they were accepted into our Fortune Gate's outer sect, they were very grateful. Especially Old Master's magic tools, medicinal pills, and cultivation techniques, they were overjoyed. And not bad. Xiaohua smiled and said, "You don't need to worry about external cultivation materials. There will be no shortage in the future. Moreover, if there are exceptional disciples, they will have a chance to enter the Fortune Gate's inner sect. This old man will personally guide them." Many thanks for Old Master's kindness. Qin Xiaoyao was even happier and said, "However, this disciple is unable to find the demon spirits that Old Master mentioned that are fated with our Dao Gate. Moreover, the Black Bear, Golden Eagle, and White Lion do not allow this disciple to choose disciples from the demon spirits. Forgive this disciple for not being able to complete Old Master's decree." -12. Chapter 35:35. Haha, this is not your fault. Xiaohua nodded. Let Black Bear, Golden Eagle, and White Lion worry about the spirit demons. This old man doesn't understand the cultivation method of the spirit demons. In the future, just treat them as a branch of the Fortune Gate. Yes, Master is wise, Qin Xiaoyao said with a smile. That's all there is to the Fortune Gate. After all, it has only been a short time. This disciple can't do much. Good. Xiaohua nodded and said loudly, "Where is Lu Yi? This little one is here." Lu Yi hurriedly ran into the cave and shouted, "What orders does Master have?" "Go and call Jiang Ming, Qin Xingyi, and Jiang Haodong," Xiaohua ordered. Lu Yi acknowledged and left. Xiaohua looked at Qin Xiaoyao and asked with interest, "Xiaoyao, you took in hundreds of Dao soldiers under your wing. Are you afraid that you will not be able to contend against the Fae of Black Cloud Ridge in the future?" When Qin Xiaoyao heard this, panic appeared on his face. He knelt down and kowtowed, "Master, please forgive me." When this disciple did this disciple did not have such thoughts. However, when all the Dao soldiers were assigned to the second-generation disciples, this disciple suddenly became vigilant. This disciple, "I'm afraid this is a natural reaction to guard against Black Bear and the other's strength. However, the matter has already been done. If this disciple goes back on his words, it will be even more disadvantageous for this disciple. Therefore, this disciple can only make the best of it. If Master doesn't like it, this disciple will go back and correct it. And since that's the case, you don't have to change it." Xiaohua frowned and said, "Human nature has always been somewhat scheming. If you are thinking of danger in times of peace, that's fine. Even what you think may not be the truth, but the Fortune Gate is in this old man's hands. This old man does not want it to be too dirty. Perhaps you will have some competition, but this old man feels that these competitions should be placed on the surface. You don't have to look down on Black Bear and the other spirit demons, and Black Bear and the others don't have to see you as enemies. Master is right, but if this is really the case, it will be extremely difficult. Qin Xiaoyao did not dare to get up and knelt on the ground. Even in the previous Jiang country, there was not much of a gap between the first and second imperial masters. However, due to the interests of their disciples, there were many disagreements in the imperial court. Yes, I know I'm too idealistic, but how can there be reality if I'm not idealistic? Xiaohua chuckled. How about this? Pass down my decree. Anyone who enters my fortune gate, whether it's the so-called inner or outer disciples, is forbidden from killing each other. If anyone is found to have done so, I will kill them. I understand. Qin Xiaoyao bit her lips and nodded. In addition, the imperial court of the Jiang country is not a place for us to cultivate. Tell the disciples that there is no need to be greedy for the temptations of the mortal world, and do not involve themselves in the affairs of the Jiang country. When Qin Xiaoyao heard this, he hastily called out, Master, this matter is somewhat inappropriate. Master, please listen to this disciple's report. Go ahead. The path of cultivation is extremely difficult. 1 in 100 may not even make it to the top. The remaining 99% are aiming for the mundane world's glory and wealth. If Master were to cut off their path, who would want to join our fortune gate? Also, if my fortune gate's disciples do not participate in the imperial court, then how can Jiang country worship my fortune gate? When Dao cultivators establish a country, what they establish is the foundation of the Dao sect. If Master is not in Jiang country to control the imperial court, how can you establish a country? Qin Xiaoyao knew that Xiaohua did not understand this and hastily suggested. Xiaohua laughed. This old man has never set his sights on a small country like Jiang country. However, since my fortune gate's wings are not fully grown yet, I'm afraid I can only continue what you did before. But, Qin Xiaoyao, remember, if anyone is greedy for glory and wealth, this old man will definitely not let them enter the fortune gate's inner sect. Yes, this disciple will remember. Qin Xiaoyao hastily replied. Get up, Jiang Ming and the others have arrived. Xiaohua calmed down and waved his hand, signaling Qin Xiaoyao to get up. Qin Xiaoyao hastily stood up and wiped off the sweat on his forehead. Although Xiaohua did not get angry when he questioned him, the pressure coming from Xiaohua's body made him feel an irresistible pressure. Everything in his heart seemed to have been seen through by Xiaohua, and the feeling of being seen through really made him uncomfortable. Of course, he was still glad that Xiaohua's thoughts were exactly the pursuit of a cultivator. He had no reason not to agree and abide by Xiaohua's wishes. Master, Jiang Ming, Qin Xingyi, and Jiang Haodong are here to greet you. Qin Xiaoyao had just stood up when Lu Yi arrived with the 3 disciples. Jiang Ming, Qin Xingyi, and Jiang Haodong followed behind Lu Yi and hurriedly knelt down and kowtowed. Disciple greets Master. Get up. Xiaohua looked at the 3 disciples who were similar in age to Qin Xiaoyao. Their faces were filled with excitement, and with a flick of his sleeve, he lifted them up. Yes, Master. The 3 disciples stood up, looked around, and respectfully stood beside Qin Xiaoyao. Jiang Ming looked at Qin Xiaoyao's pale face, and his heart skipped a beat. He looked around and asked in a low voice, Master, may I know, why did Master summon this disciple here? Xiaohua chuckled. All of you are my fortune gate's first-generation disciples. If your cultivation is not high, this old man would be ashamed. Today, I called all of you here to see your cultivation and see if this old man can give you some pointers. Jiang Ming and the others were overjoyed and hurriedly bowed. Many thanks for Master's guidance. This disciple is eternally grateful. Qin Xiaoyao, come with this old man first. Xiaohua flew into the quiet room and ordered, Me? Qin Xiaoyao was taken aback. He had already received pointers from Xiaohua and had benefited greatly from it. He didn't expect Xiaohua to call him first. Jiang Ming smiled and said, Senior brother Qin, go ahead. You are our eldest senior brother. Why don't you go first? Qin Xiaoyao was full of gratitude and hurriedly followed behind Xiaohua. Xiaohua was the first to call him. Perhaps he wouldn't give him any pointers, but at least he had given him face. Moreover, This also showed that Xiaohua wasn't really angry. After entering the quiet room, Xiaohua sat on a praying mat and pointed to the place where Do Shanjun had been. Close your eyes and face the sky, just like normal cultivation. Do not rashly use your quintessence. Yes, this disciple understands. Seeing that Xiaohua was very serious, Qin Xiaoyao didn't dare to neglect and hurriedly sat down. Then Xiaohua took out the soul bridge again. With Lu Yi and Wang Bianfei's spirit enchantment, it wasn't too troublesome for Qin Xiaoyao, Jiang Ming, Qin Xingyi, and Jiang Haodong. In just 2 hours, the seal of the three people's spiritual energy was broken. What surprised Xiaohua the most was that the disciple named Qin Xingyi actually didn't have a seal on his spiritual energy. This situation made Xiaohua a little confused. Previously, he thought that Lu Yi and the others couldn't cultivate because of the seal. Now that he saw that Jiang Ming and the others could still cultivate with the seal, it meant that the seal was actually not directly related to cultivation. It should be related to the spiritual energy and cultivation. Moreover, Xiaohua first saw that Qin Xiaoyao had a seal and thought that all the humans in the hidden immortal continent would have a seal. However, Qin Chengyi overturned his inference. Forget it. This matter involves too many things. It's not something that I can figure out at this time. At this time, Xiaohua had some understanding that the spirit root was really the foundation of cultivation. In the future, if he could find a disciple whose spiritual energy wasn't sealed, that meant that the disciple had a spirit root, then this disciple should be able to cultivate easily. Then, Xiaohua told Jiang Ming and the other two about their cultivation methods. Xiaohua found that Qin Chengyi was the youngest among the 4 people, but his cultivation was the highest. Similarly, his understanding of the Dao sect's cultivation methods was also the most profound. After guiding the 4 people's cultivation and bestowing them with cultivation methods, spirit pills, and magic tools, Xiaohua took out 4 jade eyes and handed them to the 4 people, instructing, "This is a simple secret technique. You can all practice it. After practicing this secret technique, you can use the secret technique to find a disciple or a Dao soldier with a spirit root. You can focus on cultivating the disciples with spirit root. Dao soldiers with spirit root can be promoted to the 2nd generation of disciples." The secret technique recorded in the Jade Eyes was the result of Xiaohua's comprehension during this period of time. Ordinary Dao sect cultivators could use this secret technique to find whether there were traces of a seal in the spiritual energy sky. Spirit root? Qin Xiaoyao and the others were surprised. Obviously, it was the first time they heard this name. Haha, everything is recorded in the Jade Eyes. I'll leave this matter to you. Xiaohua smiled and said, "In the future, the disciples of my fortune gate will be based on the spirit root." Yes, disciple understands. Qin Xiaoyao and the others carefully put away the Jade Eyes. Xiaohua seemed to have thought of something and said, "Also, among your disciples, if they don't have spirit root, choose some clever and loyal ones. When this old man has time, I'll enchant them." Yes. Although everyone was a little confused, they still respectfully agreed. "Xiaoyao, stay. You all can go." Xiaohua looked a little tired and said with a wave of his sleeve. After waiting for Jiang Ming and the others to leave, Qin Xiaoyao said with a smile, "Master, you've worked hard just now. Why don't we talk about the other 2 matters tomorrow?" "No matter. Just say it," Xiaohua said with a smile. "The second matter is about Jiang country's 2nd state, Preceptor Li Xiang. Senior Li," Qin Xiaoyao said carefully, "disciple has received information that Senior Li did not fall in Jiang country, but was imprisoned in the Jade Mountains dungeon by Tong Zhuguo. Senior Li's dozens of disciples were imprisoned with him." After Qin Xiaoyao finished speaking, he lowered his head and looked at the ground with a flicker in his eyes. He actually did not understand the real purpose of Xiaohua's order to find Li Xiang's whereabouts that day. Logically speaking, Xiaohua's strength was far beyond Li Xiang's, but after all, Xiaohua did not have any power in Jiang country. The so-called Fortune Gate was just newly established and could not be compared to Li Xiang's power in Jiang country. If Xiaohua really rescued Li Xiang and the dozens of disciples, who knew who the Fortune Gate would belong to in the end, did Xiaohua have other intentions for looking for Li Xiang? Oh, Li Xiang was actually not killed by the king of Tong Zhuguo? Xiaohua was a little surprised, and you found out that he was imprisoned in the Jade Mountains dungeon so easily? Chapter 35-36. That's right. Master's doubts are also this disciple's doubts. Qin Xiaoyao hurriedly added. This disciple suspects that this is a trap set by the Copper Pillar State. They are trying to lure Master to take the bait. Hee, the Copper Pillar State doesn't even have an imperial preceptor now. How long can they last? They actually dared to set a trap? Wouldn't that mean that their monarch is tired of living? Xiao Hua sneered. Qin Xiaoyao hurriedly added, Master, don't be careless. After all, the Copper Pillar State is a country of Confucian cultivators. Even if they don't have a ruler, other countries still have a ruler. Perhaps the Copper Pillar State is colluding with other countries to set a trap for Master? There is such a possibility. Xiao Hua immediately thought of Do Shanjun's warning before he left. Perhaps the Copper Pillar State and other Confucian cultivators were using Li Xiang as bait to trick him. This is bad. Thinking of this, Xiao Hua immediately came to a realization. Since he had given the Imperial Jade Seal to Do Shanjun, when Do Shanjun returned to the Copper Pillar State, he would definitely present the Imperial Jade Seal to the ruler. Then, wouldn't Li Xiang be useless? Would the ruler of the Copper Pillar State immediately kill Li Xiang? The most important thing right now is to go to the Jade Mountains underground prison. Where is the Jade Mountains underground prison? Xiao Hua asked. Hearing Xiao Hua asking for the location of the Jade Mountain without much thought, Qin Xiaoyao felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. He understood that Xiao Hua wanted to go to the Jade Mountain to rescue Li Xiang, but the problem was that after Li Xiang was rescued, he would come to the Fortune Gate with several dozen disciples. What would Xiao Hua do? This thought had just flashed through his mind, and now it was surging up again. Thinking about what Xiao Hua had said to him before, Qin Xiaoyao smiled bitterly. He took out a jade eye from his bosom and handed it over to Xiao Hua. He said, This jade eye records the address of the previous Jade Mountain. However, this disciple still has to remind Master that saving people may be necessary, but the arrangements after saving people may not be satisfactory. Just like what Master just said, you must always be on guard against human nature. AI, perhaps. Xiao Hua saw Qin Xiaoyao frown several times because of Li Xiang's matter. He wanted to say something but stopped himself. How could he not know what Qin Xiaoyao was thinking? Today, my Dao sect has withered. This old man also wants to hold up the sky with one hand. Unfortunately, this old man's ability is limited. This Fortune Gate is this old master's and also yours. You have placed the Fortune Gate in your hearts, and this old master will cherish it. If anyone covets it, then this old master will not be polite. You don't need to worry about that. Yes, Master understands. These disciples are relieved. Qin Xiaoyao let out a long sigh of relief and said, However, I feel that compared to the previous matter, the third matter is slightly more important. Oh? What's the third thing? Xiao Hua asked curiously. The gathering of the Jade Pavilion. Qin Xiaoyao said with a smile. Didn't I say it before? On the hidden immortal mainland, if I want to be a country's teacher, I must obtain the approval of the Dao sect. To put it bluntly, to reassure the Confucian cultivators, I must participate in this gathering of the Jade Pavilion. Previously, I didn't know how to participate, nor did I know the name of the gathering of the Jade Pavilion. Some time ago, Marshal Uncle Qingyu was overseeing the Black Wind Ridge. I asked him and confirmed this matter. Moreover, from what Marshal Uncle Qingyu said, this gathering of the Jade Pavilion is held once every 5 years. It will be held at the beginning of next year. Counting on my fingers, this is the right time for Master to get up. Humph. Xiao Hua sneered. The gathering of the Jade Pavilion. I don't know if it is the Dao sect's gathering or the Confucian cultivators' gathering. Our Dao sect's cultivators are in charge of a country, and the Confucian cultivators are relieved? Qin Xiaoyao smiled and said, People under the eaves have to bow their heads. If Master has the ability of the Immortal Palace, you probably don't need to look at the face of the Confucian cultivators. But today, our Fortune Gate has just been established. This work of face still needs to be done. Moreover, Master has just killed the Copper Pillar State's state preceptor. If you don't go to the gathering of the Jade Pavilion, I'm afraid it will arouse the dissatisfaction of the Confucian cultivators. At that time, it will be difficult for Master to handle, and it will be difficult for Jiang country to recover. It will also be difficult for our fortune gate to develop. Hee, this old man naturally knows this. Xiao Hua laughed and said, "It's not like this old man hasn't lived a life of suppressing my tale. If I pretend, this old man can pretend better than you. Forget it. Let's go take a look and see what kind of situation our Dao sect has on the hidden immortal mainland." Congratulations on Master's victorious return. Qin Xiaoyao hurriedly bowed and handed over a jade eye. Victorious return? Xiao Hua was stunned. He took the jade eye and asked curiously, "Is there a fight at the gathering of the Jade Pavilion?" "Yes." Qin Xiaoyao smiled and said, "To obtain the approval of the Dao sect seniors, there must be a competition. With Master's skill, you will definitely suppress everyone. However, Master should take it easy. Who knows which cultivator is the Confucian cultivator's spy? If Master shows off his ability, he will be killed by the Confucian cultivator." This old man knows. Xiao Hua nodded and took out a small cosmos pouch and handed it to Qin Xiaoyao, saying, "These are some pills that this old man refined according to Qin Qingyu's jade eye. There is also a training method for a formation. Take it and comprehend it yourself. Then, according to the requirements of the formation, gather the second and third generation disciples of the Fortune Gate's outer court and practice according to the situation." Qin Xiaoyao received the small cosmos pouch and swept it with his divine sense. Ecstasy appeared on his face again. He knelt down and kowtowed without thinking and said, "Master is really generous. This kind of pill. AI, this disciple won't say anything. Even if those Dao soldiers died, they wouldn't have been able to obtain one in the past. The past is the past. Now, all of you are my Fortune Gate's disciples, so you can't favor one and discriminate against the other. You have to know that this is nothing. You are the most precious part of my Fortune Gate." Xiao Hua helped Qin Xiaoyao up and said, "Also, the Black Bear Spirit and the others don't understand our Dao Gate's training method. When you understand it, you have to teach it to them. Of course, this old man will tell the Black Bear Spirit." Qin Xiaoyao nodded. "This disciple understands. This disciple will go and distribute these pills, supervise them to cultivate, and properly train the formation." "Good. Call the Black Bear Spirit in." Xiao Hua waved his hand, indicating Qin Xiaoyao to leave. Not long after, the Black Bear Spirit ran in and threw himself in front of Xiao Hua, crying bitterly, "Master why did you go into seclusion for 100 days? This little one missed you so much that he didn't eat or drink. This little one was so worried that he wanted to kill this little one." Sweat. Xiao Hua looked at the cowardly Black Bear Spirit who loved to bootlick and chuckled. "If you want to learn, you should look for Wang Yifei. Lu Yi's knowledge is half-baked. You won't be able to learn anything from him." Master, how did you know?" The Black Bear Spirit raised his head, his nose full of tears, looking very pitiful. The two little black bear's eyes were still filled with confusion. "Damn it." Xiao Hua kicked the Black Bear Spirit's shoulder and said angrily, "What do you mean you don't eat or drink? Go tell that to that female bear of yours who watches the stars and the moon every day. Don't show off in front of this old man. Hurry and stand up for this old man." "Yes, Master." The Black Bear Spirit stood up with a bitter face, looking very wronged. "This little one doesn't understand these things. Whatever Brother Lu tells this little one will say it accordingly. Forget it." Xiao Hua couldn't be bothered to say more to this Black Bear Spirit who was more cunning than him, but couldn't get the point every time. He waved his hand and asked. Hearing Xiao Hua's question, the Black Bear Spirit acted like he was going to throw himself in front of Xiao Hua again. However, looking at Xiao Hua's slightly raised foot, he didn't dare and stood there in a daze. "What's wrong?" Xiao Hua was surprised. "Why don't you dare to say it?" "Master, you have to make a decision for this little one." The Black Bear Spirit finally threw himself on the ground again. However, this time, he was smart and kept a distance from Xiao Hua's leg. Seeing the Black Bear Spirit's appearance, Xiao Hua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Even if the Black Bear Spirit was lying outside the cave, if Xiao Hua wanted to kick him, wouldn't he still be able to do so? Therefore, Xiao Hua could only say unhappily, "What's wrong? Did Qin Xiaoyao bully you?" "Qin Xiaoyao? He dares. He bullied this old man. This old man will tear him to pieces." Hearing this, The black bear's spirit was slightly bewildered. His bare face showed anger. Could it be that he said something in front of Master? Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He waved his hand and scolded. "Shut up! You are this old man's black bear guard. How can you compare to him? How dare he speak ill of you in front of this old man?" This old man was just casually asking. Hearing Xiaohua say that he was the black bear guard, the black bear's spirit immediately beamed with joy and said, "That's right. This lowly one is Master's black bear guard. What is Qin Xiaoyao?" "Humph. Even if you are this old man's black bear guard, you can't be arrogant and despotic. If this old man finds out anything..." Xiaohua sneered. I don't dare. This lowly one definitely doesn't dare." The black bear spirit didn't even dare to get up. He just lay on the ground and shouted, "Master's methods are heaven-defying, and he is deeply indebted to this lowly one. How can this lowly one lose face for Master? This lowly one now has the golden eagle and white lion, and is really protecting Black Wind Ridge for Master. I'm afraid that just relying on those boy of yours won't be enough." Xiaohua didn't wait for him to finish speaking and waved his hand. "This old man is preparing to set up a large array in Black Wind Ridge. You all have to assist Qin Xiaoyao and the others to defend against the enemy. This old man has already given the key to the array formation to Qin Xiaoyao. You don't understand these things. Just listen to him." "All right. This lowly one will listen to Master's orders." The black bear's spirit drooped his head, looking very unwilling. After beating the black bear's spirit, Xiaohua asked lightly again, "What urgent matter do you have that you need this old man to decide for you?" "That's right." At this moment, the black bear spirit seemed to have suddenly woken up. He hurriedly shouted, "Master, you have to decide for this lowly one." As he spoke, he made a lunging motion, but the black bear spirit didn't get up. This touching lunging motion couldn't be completed. "Get up. If there's anything, just say it." Xiaohua smiled and waved his sleeves, helping the black bear spirit up. The moment the black bear spirit got up, his spittle flew everywhere. He explained everything clearly. How was he still a stupid bear? He was even more eloquent than a fox. -12. Chapter 35-37. "Oh, so that's how it is." Xiaohua nodded slightly. This old man was fighting against the Copper Pillar State, and then went into seclusion to cultivate, so I put this matter to the back of my mind. I thought they would stop, but I didn't expect them to go overboard and bully our family's boy. That's good. Let's go. Call Qin Xiaoyao, Xiaojian, and Chongling. This old man will vent your anger for you." "Yes, old master, many thanks, old master." The black bear's spirit crawled up from the ground and hurriedly ran out. But just as he ran to the cave abode's entrance, he stopped and turned back in confusion. "Old master, we're not going to gang up. Why did you bring so many people? It's enough for Master to go alone. Just call when I tell you to call. Why so long-winded?" Xiaohua snorted. The black bear's spirit didn't dare to ask any more questions and hurriedly left. Xiaohua stood up from the jade chair and slowly walked out of the cave. He muttered to himself, "This Black Cloud Ridge now belongs to the Xiao family. How can they allow others to snore beside their beds? This Jiasa country has miscalculated." When Xiaohua left the cave, it was noon. The sun was shining brightly, shining in front of the cave, shining on the entire Black Wind Ridge. In this sunlight, one could see the flowers and plants on the mountain, the gurgling streams, and the faint fragrance of the earth in his nose. Where was the barren Black Wind Ridge from that day? Good. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and released his divine sense, scanning the entire Black Cloud Ridge. He was quite satisfied as he thought to himself. Long Chinga had originally set up a great formation in the Black Cloud Ridge to kill this Xiao, but due to a freak combination of factors, she actually transformed the entire Black Cloud Ridge, giving birth to earth-shattering changes. This Xiao, on the other hand, has benefited greatly and saved a lot of effort. However, it will be difficult to guard this place with so many Confucian cultivators. I'm afraid this Xiao's plan of setting up the formation in the Black Wind Ridge will have to be changed. If I'm going to do it, I'll make it bigger and bring the entire Black Cloud Ridge into my Fortune Gates territory. Thinking of this, Xiao Hua released his divine sense again, carefully looking over the entire black cloud ridge, thinking about how to set up the formation. Master, Lu Yi and Wang Bianfei were standing outside the Immortal's cave. When they saw Xiao Hua come out, they immediately bowed. However, when they saw that Xiao Hua didn't pay attention to them and was instead looking at the distant sky in a daze, they didn't dare to say anything and stood to the side. A long time later, Xiao Jian, the Chongling princess, Qin Xiaoyao, and the others came over with the black bear spirit. Before they came close, Louis immediately walked over and motioned for them to not speak and wait for Xiaohua's orders. After the time it took to finish a meal, Xiaohua smiled and said, "You're all here. Disciple and the others greet master." Everyone didn't dare to be negligent and hurriedly stepped forward to salute. "Get up." Xiaohua smiled and said, "Today, I called you all here to help Black Bear vent his anger." Vent? Xiao Jian and the others were stunned, as they didn't really understand what Xiaohua meant. However, Xiaohua didn't explain. He stretched out his hand and said to Qin Xiaoyao, "Xiaoyao, give me the Deity formation. This old man wants to change it." "Yes, master." Qin Xiaoyao hurriedly took out the Jade Eye formation. Xiaohua took it and then handed it back to Qin Xiaoyao a moment later. He said, "In the future, train according to this formation. Black Bear, Golden Eagle, and White Lion will listen to your orders." "Yes, master." Qin Xiaoyao took it. As he spoke, he scanned with his consciousness and was shocked. He asked again, "Master, isn't this too big? The entire Black Cloud Ridge?" "Yes, the entire Black Cloud Ridge. In the future, this will be our territory. Whoever dares to say no, will first knock out their front teeth." Xiaohua smiled and nodded. "Good." The Black Bear spirit shouted first. "Beat them until they're looking for their teeth on the ground." Hiss. Xiao Jian looked at the Chongling princess. Shock and joy flashed through their eyes. Black Cloud Ridge was not like Black Wind Ridge. That was the border between the three countries. If it was protected by a formation, then how inconceivable would that be? The two didn't dare to imagine. "Black Bear, lead the way," Xiaohua ordered. The Black Bear spirit happily moved the Yao Cloud and flew to the back of Black Wind Ridge. Seeing Xiaohua and the Black Bear spirit leave, Xiao Jian seemed to think of something. He glanced again at the Chongling princess. The Chongling princess frowned slightly and looked into the distance and thought, "Chongling, master has left. We should hurry." Yuanya urged from the back of the green leopard, who almost never left the Chongling princess' side. "All right." The Chongling princess hurriedly responded. Red clouds appeared under her feet and carried her to catch up. The Black Bear spirit flew into the depths of the Black Cloud Ridge for the time it took to brew a cup of tea before arriving at a mountain peak that had already collapsed. Before the group landed, they saw a golden eagle fly up from the bottom of the mountain. "Master!" The golden eagle flapped its wings in the air and called meekly, "This one greets master." "And are they still here?" Xiaohua asked coolly. "Yes, they came 2 months ago. They were very powerful. I and others couldn't stop them. Several children under the second brother were also injured by them." The golden eagle replied, "If it weren't for the old master's face, I'm afraid our lives would not be guaranteed." "Humph, they are very arrogant." Xiaohua snorted coldly. The Black Bear spirit immediately added fuel to the fire. "Yes, this one visited 3 times and told them clearly that this Black Cloud Ridge is master's territory and for them to leave immediately. They refused to see me twice and attacked this one the 3rd time. This one almost could not see master." "Why didn't you tell Qin Xiaoyao and Xiao Jian?" Xiaohua rolled his eyes and scolded. The Black Bear spirit immediately stopped talking. He placed his 2 paws in front of him and said rather embarrassedly, "Old master, please don't blame me. I saw that Qin Xiaoyao and Xiao Jian were very busy, and I couldn't help much. If I couldn't even help old master look after the mountain gate, I would be too embarrassed." "Master!" The golden eagle at the side hurriedly shouted. "It is not that Big Brother did not tell them, but they are not much stronger than this one. If this one and his brothers could not handle it, they may not be able to." "Humph! All of you are in the right," Xiaohua scolded. "Right now, my Black Cloud Ridge is everyone's Black Cloud Ridge. If you encounter something you cannot handle in the future, it is better for everyone to work together. Yes, this one understands, the black bear spirit hurriedly answered. Xiao Jin, Chongling, and the others hurriedly responded. Xiao Hua looked at the mountain peak that was completely different from when Little Yellow, Little Black, and Little Silver came. He pointed with his hand and said, Chongling, your message seal should have flown here that day. Yes, Chongling knows. This should be a backup plan that Royal Father left behind. The Chongling princess bit her lips and said softly, Do you know what is below? Xiao Hua said with a smile. The Chongling princess shook her head. Royal Father did not mention it. Chongling does not know. This is an energy stone mine, Xiao Hua said with a smile. It seems that Jiang Country, Bronze Pillar Country, and Jiasa Country have all discovered it. Jiang Country was destroyed, and the people of Jiang Country most likely submitted to Bronze Pillar Country. The Bronze Pillar Country's state preceptor surrounded my Black Cloud Ridge and set up defensive formations. Even if the people of the two countries did not completely leave, maybe they only left some people to guard the mine. Now that the Bronze Pillar Country's state preceptor is dead, Jiasa Country wants to take advantage. They are dreaming. Ah? An energy stone mine? Xiao Jin's eyes turned green when he heard this. He had once been a king and naturally only thought of the importance of this energy stone mine. But the Black Bear Spirit and the Golden Eagle were puzzled. Yuanya, Xiao Hua called. Yes, master. Yuanya stilled. He had not expected Xiao Hua to suddenly call him. He hurriedly urged the green leopard to fly to the front. Xiao Hua pointed with his finger and said, You follow the black bear over and smash their cave entrance. Let this old man see if your strength has improved these days. Yes, master. Yuanya did not say much. He urged the green leopard to fly down. Although the black bear spirit knew that Yuanya could not even defeat him, he did not dare to grumble and followed. Where is Baisher? Xiao Hua asked again. Master, second brother is guarding the other end of the Black Cloud Ridge. This little one is guarding this place. Big brother is on the other end. The Golden Eagle replied respectfully, Not bad, that's right. Xiao Hua praised, In the future, you all will still be the three demons of the Black Cloud Ridge. This old man should be the one behind you all. That is this little one's honor. The Golden Eagle was careful. Xiao Hua's method of killing Lung Chinga was truly admirable. He did not dare to have any other thoughts. Let's go and take a look. Xiao Hua was very relaxed as he led everyone down from the sky. They saw that this was a place with messy mountain rocks. In front of a pile of rocks near the foot of the mountain, there was an empty space that was a few feet large. At the edge of the empty space, there was a large amount of fresh soil and rocks. Obviously, because the mountain peak collapsed, it blocked the passage to the underground Yuan stone mine. The soldiers of the Jiasa country came to clear it again. At the foot of the mountain, a rather new stone door blocked the entrance of the cave. The entrance looked to be only 20 feet wide. Moreover, there was still a small half of it underground. Master, this used to be the depths of the Black Cloud Ridge. Black clouds covered this place all year round. This little one and the others have been here before. However, it seemed a little fierce, so we did not come here often. This cave entrance is very hidden. This little one has never seen it before. If Master did not come here, I am afraid that this little one would have been sold and helped count the copper coins. The Golden Eagle said softly. At this time, Yuanya had already landed in front of the cave. The green leopard lay beside him, and the black bear spirit arrogantly followed behind Yuanya. Yuanya held a black demonic weapon in his hand and walked to the front of the cave. Without hesitation, he swung his arms and shouted, Open, boom! As the demonic weapon in Yuanya's hand smashed into the mountain gate, a loud sound rang out. Not only did the entire mountain gate explode into pieces and fly in all directions, even the entire cliff shook a few times. Even the black bear spirit at the side was shocked. He could not help but look at Yuanya and cry out, Damn it, yeah, you're good. I'm afraid your strength has already surpassed mine. You can be considered as a younger generation that will surpass us in time. Moreover, the wooden fish suddenly expanded and immediately shook the flying sword back a few feet. It was obvious that the flying sword was no match for the wooden fish. However, it was at this moment that a pitch-black brilliance flashed past. With a pu, Yuanya broke free from the rhythm. The demonic axe that was originally raised immediately smashed onto the wooden fish. Since ancient times, Buddha had been able to subdue demons, but demons were also the mortal enemies of Buddha. Under the demonic axe, the Buddhist wooden fish let out a crisp sound. The Buddha's light suddenly disappeared, and it fell straight down. "Damn it!" a rough voice sounded. However, the person still did not appear. It was obvious that he was still rushing towards the cave from underground. However, another ray of Buddhist light flashed and a demon-subduing pestle flew out of thin air and smashed towards the flying sword. Oh no! Qin Xiaoyao saw the demon-subduing pestle fly out. The wind whistling was several times stronger than the wooden fish. He could not help but feel that things were not good and wanted to retrieve the flying sword. At this moment, Xiao Jian, who was next to him, hurriedly said, "Fellow Taoist Qin, don't worry. I will help you." As he spoke, Xiao Jian waved his hand. A ray of watery light flew out of his hand and flew towards the demon-subduing pestle. The light screen showed the shape of a ring. When Qin Xiaoyao saw it, he was overjoyed and hurriedly cooperated with Xiao Jian to activate the fire sword. Rumble. With a loud sound, the two magic artifacts displayed their power and knocked down the demon-subduing pestle. Why are these two magic artifacts so powerful? A slightly gloomy voice resounded, following which a round plate flew out from the cave along with a tall monk. That plate flickered with a misty green brilliance and actually covered the flashing blue ring and the flashing flame sword in an instant. Magic treasure? When Qin Xiaoyao and Xiao Jian saw the power of the plate, they were immediately shocked. They hurriedly activated their magic power and tried to retrieve the fire sword and ring. Unfortunately, no matter how they activated their magic power, the fire sword and ring could not escape from the plate's control. With this little ability, you still dare to come to my cave? The tall monk landed on the ground. He waved his hand, and the demon-subduing pestle and wooden fish landed in his hands. He coldly looked at Qin Xiaoyao and Xiao Jian, who were sweating profusely. The black bear spirit sneered at the side. "Bald donkey, my master is here. Why aren't you kowtowing?" "Master?" The monk was stunned and hurriedly looked over. When he saw Xiao Hua, who was as calm as water in front of everyone, he scanned with his Buddhist awareness. Shock appeared on his face. He hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. "Jasa country's Lao Zhen greets Taoist Xiao." However, Xiao Hua did not look at Lao Zhen at all. Instead, his gaze landed on the plate and said indifferently, "Are you not going to come out?" Just as Xiao Hua's voice landed, the plate immediately flashed with light and was about to fly back. Xiao Hua sneered and waved his hand. The seal of overturning the sea rushed out of space and smashed towards the plate with a rumbling sound. Bang! With a loud sound, the plate was struck by the seal of overturning the sea and immediately turned into pieces that fell to the ground. A low scream came from within the cave. Following that, a slightly shorter cultivator jumped out from the cave. His face was sallow, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. The moment that person came out of the cave, he cried out in grief and indignation, "Taoist Master Xiao is so mighty. Don't you think that bullying the weak is a disgrace to the Taoist Master? Haha, you junior. You didn't even come over to greet me when you saw me. You actually hid in the cave and bullied my 2 Foundation establishment disciples. Are you not bullying the weak? It's good that you came out now. In a while, I will take your life." Xiao Hua laughed and said. The cultivator clenched his teeth, not daring to say anything. "What's your name?" Xiao Hua asked again. "I am Jiang Zhihe." The cultivator did not dare to remain silent and reluctantly replied, Xiao Hua sneered. "Are you from the Jiang country?" "Yes, this junior is." Jiang Zhihe did not deny it and admitted, the Jiang country was destroyed. This junior had no place to stand and could only rely on the Jasa country. Jiang Zhihe, the Chongling princess, could not endure and said angrily, "My royal father treated you well. You actually abandoned my Jiang country. Are you worthy of my royal father?" Jiang Zhihe smiled faintly and said, "Princess of Chongling, Everything you said is smoke. Why mention it again? If I did not rely on the Jasa country, how could I live in this world? How could I see the princess? Facing a person who once died, does the princess not feel that you are asking too much? You. The Chongling princess trembled in anger, but could not continue to criticize. After all, Jiang Jihe's words were not without reason. Forget it. Xiao Hua waved his hand and looked at Shineo and Jiang Jihe, whose subordinate injured the boy of my Black Wind Ridge. Leave behind an arm, and you can get out of here. Daoist Xiao. Shineo's expression changed, and he said urgently, "It was my disciple who had a conflict with the Black Wind King's boy. But my disciple also died. Why do you want my arm?" Xiaohua shrugged and said with a smile, "No other reason. Because this Black Wind Ridge belongs to this Xiao. You injured this Xiao's people here, so you have to pay the price." Daoist Xiao, when did this Black Wind Ridge belong to you? Jiang Jihe gritted his teeth and said, "The abode in this cave already belonged to the Jiasa country before the Black Wind King and the others came. Daoist does not have the right to make us leave. Also, Daoist wants to use your cultivation to drive us away. Do not blame the Jiasa country for meeting Jiang country at war." Ha ha ha. Meeting at war? Are you threatening this old man? Xiao Hua laughed loudly. This Black Cloud Ridge is not the border of the Jiasa country. What right do you have to say that this is the Jiasa country's? Since this old man says the Black Cloud Ridge is this old man's, then it is this old man's. Even the Bronze Pillar country had left with their tails between their legs. Was the Jiasa country still dreaming of taking advantage of them? If your Jiasa country has the ability, why did you slip away in advance when the Bronze Pillar country set up the Great Formation? And when this old man broke the formation, you all secretly came back. No matter what, this place belongs to my Jiasa country. Lu Shen insisted, "If Daoist Xiao is not afraid of my Jiasa country's counterattack, you can kill us all. Moreover, Daoist master, I'm afraid you still don't know the importance of this elemental stone mine. If you let me..." Do you think this old man is afraid? Unfortunately, before Lu Shan could finish speaking, Xiao Hua sneered, "If you don't call me Daoist Master Xiao, this old man will not make a move. You all took my Black Cloud Ridge's elemental stone mine and injured my Black Cloud Ridge's disciples. How can this old man forgive you?" With that, Xiao Hua waved his hand, and a golden light flashed. Lu Shan almost didn't see it clearly before he felt a pain in his left arm. His entire arm that was holding the demon subduing pestle fell from his body. -12.